Adham and YaHUaH. Chapter 1. On the third day, Elohim planted the garden in the east of the earth, on the border of the world in the eastward direction toward and beyond the rising sun. There one finds nothing but water that encompasses the whole world and reaches to the borders of the Shamaim. And to the north of the garden there is a sea of water, clear and pure to the taste, unlike anything else, so that through the clearness one may look into the depths of the earth. And when a man washes himself in it, he becomes perfectly clean and perfectly white, even if he were dark. And Elohim created that sea of his own good pleasure, for he knew what would come of the man he would make, so that after he had left the garden, because of his transgression, men should be born in the earth. Among them are righteous ones who will die, whose beings Elohim would raise at the last day, when all of them will return to their flesh, bathe in the water of that sea, and repent of their sins. But when Elohim caused Adam to go out of the garden, he did not place him on the border of it northward. This was so that he and YaHUaH would not be able to go near to the sea of water, where they could wash themselves in it and be cleansed from their sins and erase the transgression they had committed, so that they be no longer reminded of it in the thought of their punishment. As to the southern side of the garden, Elohim did not want Adam to live there either, because when the wind blew from the north, it would bring to him, on that southern side, the delicious smell of the trees of the garden. So Elohim did not put Adam there. This was so that he would not be able to smell the sweet smell of those trees and forget his transgression, and find consolation for what he had done by taking delight in the smell of the trees, and yet not be cleansed from his transgression. Also, because Elohim is merciful and of great pity, and governs all things in a way that he alone knows, he made our father Adam to live in the western border of the garden, because on that side the land is very wide. And Elohim commanded him to live there in a cave in a rock. This was the cave of treasures, which is below the garden. First, Adam and YaHUaH, chapter 2. But when our father Adam and YaHUaH went out of the garden, they walked the ground on their feet, not knowing where they were going. And when they came to the opening of the gate of the garden and saw the land spread before them widely, covered with stones large and small, and with sand, they feared and trembled, and fell on their faces from the fear that came over them, and they were as though they were dead. Until this time they had been in the garden land, beautifully planted with all manner of trees, and they now saw themselves in a strange land, which they did not know and had never seen. When they were in the garden, they were filled with the grace of a bright nature, and they had hearts not turned toward earthly things. Therefore Elohim had pity on them, and when he saw them fallen before the gate of the garden, he sent his word to our father Adam and to YaHUaH, and raised them from their fallen state. First, Adam and YaHUaH. Chapter 3. Elohim said to Adam, I have ordained days and years on this earth, and you and your descendants shall live and walk in them until the days and years are fulfilled. Then I shall send the word that created you, and against which you have transgressed the word that made you come out of the garden, and that raised you when you were fallen. Yes, this is the word that will again save you when the 5.5 days are fulfilled. But when Adam heard these words from Elohim and of the great 5.5 days, he did not understand the meaning of them. For Adam was thinking there would be only 5.5 days for him until the end of the world. And Adam cried and prayed to Elohim to explain it to him. Then Elohim, in his mercy for Adam, who was made after his own image and likeness, explained to him that these were 5,500 years, and how the one would then come and save him and his descendants. But before that, Elohim had made this covenant with our father Adam in the same terms before he came out of the garden, when he was by the tree where YaHUaH took of the fruit and gave it to him to eat. Because when our father Adham came out of the garden, he passed by that tree and saw how Elohim had changed the appearance of it into another form, and how it had shriveled. And as Adham went to it, he feared, trembled, and fell down. But Elohim in his mercy lifted him up and then made this covenant with him. Also, when Adham was by the gate of the garden, he saw the keruv with a sword of flashing fire in his hand, and the keruv grew angry and frowned at him. Both Adham and YaHUaH became afraid of the keruv and thought he meant to put them to death. So they fell on their faces, trembling with fear. But he had pity on them and showed them mercy, and turning from them went up to the Shahamayim and prayed unto YaHUaH and said, YaHUaH, you sent me to watch at the gate of the garden with a sword of fire. But when your servants, Adham and YaHUaH, saw me, they fell on their faces and were as dead. O YaHUaH, what shall we do to your servants? Then Elohim had pity on them and showed them mercy, and sent his messenger to keep the garden. And the word of YaHUaH came to Adham and YaHUaH and raised them up. And YaHUaH said to Adham, I told you that at the end of the 5.5 days I will send my word and save you. Therefore strengthen your heart and stay in the cave of treasures, of which I have spoken to you before. And when Adham heard this word from Elohim, he was comforted with that which Elohim had told him, for he had told him how he would save him. First, Adham and YaHUaH, chapter 4. But Adham and YaHUaH cried for having come out of the garden, which was their first home. And indeed, when Adham looked at his flesh, he saw that it was altered. And he cried bitterly, he and YaHUaH cried over what they had done. And they walked and went gently down into the cave of treasures. And as they came to it, Adham cried over himself and said to YaHUaH, look at this cave that is to be our prison in this world and a place of punishment. What is it compared with the garden? What is its narrowness compared with the space of the other? What is this rock compared of those groves? What is the gloom of this cave compared with the light of the garden? What is this overhanging ledge of rock that shelters us compared with the mercy of YaHUaH that overshadowed us? What is the soil of this cave compared with the garden land? Does this earth scattered with stones compared to that garden planted with delicious fruit trees? And Adham said to YaHUaH, look at your eyes and at mine, which before beheld messengers praising in the Shamayim without ceasing. Now we do not see as we did. Our eyes have become of flesh. They cannot see like they saw before. Adham said again to YaHUaH, what is our body today compared to what it was in former days when we lived in the garden? After this, Adham did not want to enter the cave under the overhanging rock. He never wanted to enter it again. But he bowed to Elohim's commands and said to himself, unless I enter the cave, I shall again be a transgressor. First, Adham and YaHUaH, chapter 5. Then Adham and YaHUaH entered the cave and stood praying in their own tongue, unknown to us, but which they knew well. And as they prayed, Adham raised his eyes and saw the rock in the roof of the cave that covered him overhead. This prevented him from seeing either the Shamayim or Elohim's creatures. So he cried and beat his chest hard until he dropped and was as dead. And YaHUaH sat crying, for she believed he was dead. Then she got up, spread her hands toward Elohim, appealing to him for mercy and pity, and said, O Elohim, forgive me my sin, the sin which I committed, and don't remember it against me, for I alone caused your servant to fall from the garden into this condemned land, from light into this darkness, and from the house of joy into this prison. O Elohim, look at this, your servant fallen in this manner, and bring him back to life, that he may cry and repent of his transgression which he committed through me. Don't take away his being at this time, but let him live so that he may stand after the measure of his repentance and do your will as before his death. But if you do not bring him back to life, then, O Elohim, take away my own being, so that I will be like him, and leave me not in this dungeon alone, for I could not stand alone in this world without him. For you, O Elohim, caused him to fall asleep, and took a bone from his side, and placed the flesh back in its place by your divine power. And you took me, the bone, and made me a woman, bright like him, with heart, reason, and speech, and flesh like to his own. And you made me after the likeness of his looks, by your mercy and power. O YaHUaH, he and I are one, and you, O Elohim, are our creator. You are he who made us both in one day. Therefore, O Elohim, give him life, so that he may be with me in this strange land, while we live in it due to our transgression. But if you will not give him life, then take me, even me like him, that we both may die the same day. And YaHUaH cried bitterly, and fell on our father Adham because of her great sorrow. First Adham and YaHUaH, chapter 6. But Elohim looked at them, for they had killed themselves through great grief, and he decided to raise them and comfort them. Therefore he sent his word to them that they should stand and be raised immediately. And YaHUaH said to Adham and YaHUaH, you transgressed of your own free will until you came out of the garden in which I had placed you. Of your own free will have you transgressed through your desire for divinity, greatness, and an exalted state, such as I have. Therefore I deprived you of the bright nature which you had then, and I made you come out of the garden to this land, rough and full of trouble. If only you had not transgressed my commandment and had kept my Torah, and had not eaten of the fruit of the tree which I told you not to come near, and there were fruit trees in the garden better than that one. But the wicked Satan did not keep his faith, and had no good intent towards me. And although I had created him, he considered me to be useless, and he sought the Almighty for himself. For this I hurled him down from the Shamayim, so that he could not remain in his first estate. It was he who made the tree appear pleasant to your eyes, until you ate of it by believing his words. This have you transgressed my commandment, and therefore I have brought on you all these sorrows. For I am Elohim the Creator, who, when I created my creatures, did not intend to destroy them, but after they had greatly roused my anger, I punished them with grievous plagues until they repent. But if on the contrary they still continue hardened in their transgression, they shall be under a curse forever. First Adham and YaHUaH, chapter 7. When Adham and YaHUaH heard these words from Elohim, they cried and sobbed even more, but they strengthened their hearts in Elohim, because they now felt that YaHUaH was to them like a father and a mother, and for this very reason they cried before him, and sought mercy from him. Then Elohim had pity on them, and said, O Adham, I have made my covenant with you, and I will not turn from it. Neither will I let you return to the garden, until my covenant of the great 5.5 days is fulfilled. Then Adham said to Elohim, O YaHUaH, you created us, and made us fit to be in the garden. And before I transgressed, you made all beasts come to me, that I should name them. Your grace was then on me, and I named everyone according to your mind, and you made them all subject to me. But now, O YaHUaH Elohim, that I have transgressed your commandment, all beasts will rise against me, and will devour me, and YaHUaH your handmaid, and will cut off our life from the face of the earth. I therefore beg you, O Elohim, that since you have made us come out of the garden and have made us be in a strange land, you will not let the beasts hurt us. When YaHUaH heard these words from Adham, he had pity on him, and felt that he had truly said that the beasts of the field would rise and devour him and YaHUaH, because he, YaHUaH, was angry with the two of them because of their transgressions. Then Elohim commanded the beasts and the birds and all that moves on the earth to come to Adham and to be familiar with him, and not to trouble him and YaHUaH, nor any of the good and righteous among their offspring. Then all the beasts paid homage to Adham, according to the commandment of Elohim, except the serpent, against which Elohim was angry. It did not come to Adham with the beasts. First Adham and YaHUaH, chapter 8. Then Adham cried and said, O Elohim, when we lived in the garden and our hearts were lifted up, we saw the messengers that sang praises in the Shamayim, but now we can't see like we once saw, no. When we entered the cave, all creation became hidden from us. Then YaHUaH Elohim said to Adham, when you were under subjection to me, you had a bright nature within you, and for that reason could you see distant things. But after you transgressed, your bright nature was taken out of you, and it was not left in you to see distant things, but only things near to you, as is the ability of the flesh, for it is brutish. When Adham and YaHUaH had heard these words from Elohim, they went their way, praising and worshiping him with a sorrowful heart. And Elohim ceased communing with them. First Adham and YaHUaH, chapter 9. Then Adham and YaHUaH came out of the cave of treasures, and came near to the garden gate. There they stood and looked at it, and cried for having gone away from it. And Adham and YaHUaH went south of the gate of the garden to the side of it, and found there the water that watered the garden, which came from the root of the tree of Kai. And they saw that the water was split from there into 4 rivers over the earth. Then they came near to that water, and looked at it, and saw that it was the water that came up from under the root of the tree of Kai in the garden. And Adham cried and wailed, and beat his chest for being cut out from the garden, and said to YaHUaH, why have you brought so many of these plagues and punishments on me, on yourself, and on our descendants? And YaHUaH said to him, what is it you have seen that has caused you to cry and to speak to me in this manner? And he said to YaHUaH, do you not see this water that watered the trees of the garden, and flowed out from there, that was with us in the garden? And when we were in the garden, we did not care about it. But since we came to this strange land, we love it and turn it to use for our body. But when YaHUaH heard these words from him, she cried, and from the soreness of their crying they fell into that water. They would have put an end to themselves in it, as never again to return and behold the creation. For when they looked at the work of creation, they felt they must put an end to themselves. First Adham and YaHUaH, chapter 10. Then Elohim, merciful and gracious, looked at them as they were lying in the water and close to death. And he sent a messenger, who brought them out of the water and laid them on the seashore as dead. Then the messenger went up to Elohim and said, O Elohim, your creatures have breathed their last breath. Then Elohim sent his word to Adham and YaHUaH, who raised them from their death. And Adham said after he was raised, O Elohim, while we were in the garden we did not require or care about this water, but since we came to this land we cannot do without it. Then Elohim said to Adham, while you were under my command and were a bright messenger, you did not experience this water. But now that you have transgressed my commandment, you cannot do without water to wash your body and make it grow, for it is now like that of beasts and is in want of water. When Adham and YaHUaH heard these words from Elohim, they cried a bitter cry. And Adham entreated Elohim to let him return into the garden and look at it a second time. But Elohim said to Adham, I have made you a promise. When that promise is fulfilled, I will bring you back into the garden, you and your righteous descendants. And Elohim ceased to commune with Adham. First Adham and YaHUaH. Chapter 11. Adham and YaHUaH then felt themselves burning with thirst and heat and sorrow. And Adham said to YaHUaH, we shall not drink of this water even if we were to die. O YaHUaH, when this water comes into our inner parts, it will increase our punishments and that of our descendants. Both Adham and YaHUaH then went away from the water, and drank none of it at all, but came and entered the cave of treasures. But when in it Adham could not see YaHUaH, he only heard the noise she made. Neither could she see Adham, but heard the noise he made. Then Adham cried in deep affliction and beat his chest and got up and said to YaHUaH, "Where are you?" And she said unto him, "Look, I am standing here in this darkness." He then said to her, "Remember the bright nature in which we lived, while we abode in the garden. O YaHUaH, remember the splendor that rested on us in the garden. O YaHUaH, remember the trees that overshadowed us in the garden while we moved among them. O YaHUaH, remember that while we were in the garden, we knew neither night nor day. Think of the tree of Kai, from below which flowed the water, and that shed splendor over us. Remember, O YaHUaH, the garden land and the brightness of it. Think, oh, think of that garden in which was no darkness while we lived in it. But no sooner did we come into this cave of treasures than darkness surrounded us all around, until we can no longer see each other, and all the pleasure of this life has come to an end." 1 Adham and YaHUaH, chapter 12. Then Adham beat his chest, he and YaHUaH, and they mourned the whole night until the first light of a dawn, and they sighed over the length of the night in the 8th month. And Adham beat himself and threw himself on the ground in the cave from bitter grief and because of the darkness, and lay there as dead. But YaHUaH heard the noise he made in falling on the ground, and she felt about for him with her hands and found him like a corpse. Then she was afraid, speechless, and she remained by him. But the merciful YaHUaH looked on the death of Adham and on YaHUaH's silence from fear of the darkness. And the word of Elohim came to Adham and raised him from his death, and opened YaHUaH's mouth, that she might speak. Then Adham stood up in the cave and said, "O Elohim, why has light departed from us and darkness covered us? Why did you leave us in this extensive darkness? Why do you plague us like this? And this darkness, O YaHUaH, where was it before it covered us? It is because of this that we cannot see each other. For so long as we were in the garden, we neither saw nor even knew what darkness was. I was not hidden from YaHUaH, neither was she hidden from me until now that she cannot see me, and no darkness came over us to separate us from each other. But she and I were both in one bright light. I saw her and she saw me. Yet now, since we came into this cave, darkness has covered us and separated us from each other, so that I do not see her, and she does not see me. O YaHUaH, will you then plague us with this darkness?" Chapter 13. Then when Elohim, who is merciful and full of pity, heard Adham's voice, he said to him, "O Adham, so long as the good messenger was obedient to me, a bright light rested on him and on his hosts. But when he transgressed my commandment, I dispossessed him of that bright nature, and he became dark. And when he was in the Shamayim, in the realms of light, he knew nothing of darkness. But he transgressed, and I made him fall from the Shamayim onto the earth, and it was this darkness that came over him. And, O Adham, while in my garden and obedient to me, that bright light rest also on you. But when I heard of your transgression, I took from you that bright light. Yet of my mercy I did not turn you into darkness, but I made your body a body of flesh over which I spread the skin, in order that it may bear cold and heat. If I had let my wrath fall heavily on you, I should have destroyed you, and had I turned you into darkness, it would have been as if I had killed you. But in my mercy I have made you as you are when you transgress my commandment, O Adham. I drove you from the garden and made you come forth into this land, and commanded you to live in this cave, and darkness covered you, as it did over him who transgressed my commandment. Thus, O Adham, has this night deceived you. It is not to last forever, but is only of 12 hours. When it is over, daylight will return. Do not sigh or be moved, and do not say in your heart that this darkness is long and drags on wearily. Do not say in your heart that I plague you with it. Strengthen your heart and be not afraid. This darkness is not a punishment. Adham, I have made the day and have placed the sun in it to give light, in order that you and your children should do your work. For I knew you would sin and transgress and come out into this land. Yet I wouldn't force you, nor be heard over you, nor shut up, nor doom you through your fall, nor through your coming out from light into darkness, nor yet through your coming from the garden into this land. For I made you of the light, and I willed to bring out children of light from you that were like you. But you did not keep my commandment one day until I had finished the creation and barak everything in it. Then, concerning the tree, I commanded you not to eat of it. Yet I knew that Satan, who deceived himself, would also deceive you. So I made known to you, by means of the tree, not to come near him. And I told you not to eat of the fruit thereof, nor to taste of it, nor yet to sit under it, nor to yield to it. Had I not spoken to you, O Adam, concerning the tree, and had I left you without a commandment, and you had sinned, it would have been an offense on my part. For not having given you any order, you would turn around and blame me for it. But I commanded you and warned you, and you fell, so that my creatures cannot blame me, but the blame rests on them alone. And O Adam, I have made the day so that you and your descendants can work and toil in it. And I have made the night for them to rest in it from their work, and for the beasts of the field to go forth by night and look for their food. But little of darkness now remains, O Adam, and daylight will soon appear. First Adam and YaHUaH, chapter 14. Then Adam said to Elohim, O YaHUaH, take my being, and let me not see this gloom any more, or remove me to some place where there is no darkness. But YaHUaH Elohim said to Adam, I say to you indeed, this darkness will pass from you every day. I have determined for you until the fulfillment of my covenant, when I will save you and bring you back again into the garden and into the house of light you long for, in which there is no darkness. I will bring you to it in the reign of the Shahmayim. Again Elohim said to Adam, all this misery that you have been made to take on yourself because of your transgression will not free you from the hand of Satan, and it will not save you. But I will, when my bane shall come down from the Shamayim, and shall become flesh of your descendants, and take on himself the infirmity from which you suffer, then the darkness that covered you in this cave shall cover him in the grave, when he is the flesh of your descendants. And he who is without years shall be subject to the reckoning of years, of times, of months, and of days, and he shall be reckoned as one of the sons of men in order to save you. And Elohim ceased to commune with Adam. First Adam and YaHUaH, chapter 15. Then Adam and YaHUaH cried and were sorrowful because of Elohim's word to them, that they should not return to the garden until the fulfillment of the days decreed on them, but mostly because Elohim had told them that his bane should suffer for their deliverance. First Adam and YaHUaH, chapter 16. After this, Adam and YaHUaH continued to stand in the cave, praying and crying until the morning dawned on them. And when they saw the light return to them, they refrained from being afraid and strengthened their hearts. Then Adam came out of the cave, and when he came to the mouth of it and stood and turned his face towards the east and saw the sun rise in glowing rays and felt the heat thereof on his body, he was afraid of it and thought in his heart that this flame came forth to plague him. He then cried and beat his chest, and he fell on the ground on his face and made his appeal, saying, O YaHUaH, plague me not, neither consume me, nor yet take away my life from the earth, for he thought the sun was Elohim. Because while he was in the garden and heard the voice of Elohim and the sound he made in the garden and feared him, Adam never saw the brilliant light of the sun, neither did its flaming heat touch his body. Therefore he was afraid of the sun when flaming rays of it reached him. He thought Elohim meant to plague him with it all the days he had decreed for him. For Adam also said in his thoughts that Elohim did not plague them with darkness, but he had caused this sun to rise and to plague them with burning heat. But while he was thinking like this in his heart, the word of Elohim came to him and said, Adam, get up on your feet. This sun is not Elohim, but it has been created to give light by day, that I spoke to you about in the cave, saying the dawn would come and there would be light by day. but I am Elohim who comforted you in the night." And Elohim ceased to commune with Adham. First, Adham and YaHUaH, chapter 17. Then Adham and YaHUaH came out at the mouth of the cave and went toward the garden. But as they went near the western gate, from which Satan came when he deceived Adham and YaHUaH, they found the serpent that became Satan coming at the gate, and it was sorrowfully licking the dust and wiggling on its breast on the ground because of the curse that fell on it from Elohim. Before the curse, the serpent was the most exalted of all beasts. Now it was changed and become slippery, and the meanest of them all, and it crept on its breast and went on its belly. Before, it was the fairest of all beasts. It had been changed and became the most ugly of them all. Instead of feeding on the best food, now it turned to eat the dust. Instead of living as before in the best places, now it lived in the dust. It had been the most beautiful of all beasts, and all stood speechless at its beauty. It was now abhorred of them. And again, whereas it lived in a beautiful home to which all other animals came from everywhere, and where it drank, they drank also of the same. Now, after it had become venomous by reason of Elohim's curse, all beasts fled from its home and would not drink of the water it drank, but fled from it. First Adham and YaHUaH, chapter 18. When the accursed serpent saw Adham and YaHUaH, it swelled its head, stood on its tail, and with eyes blood red, it acted like it would kill them. It made straight for YaHUaH and ran after her, while Adham stood by and yelled because he had no stick in his hand with which to hit the serpent and did not know how to put it to death. But with a heart burning for YaHUaH, Adham approached the serpent and held it by the tail. When it turned towards him and said to him, "O Adham, because of you and YaHUaH, I am slippery and go on my belly." Then with its great strength it threw down Adham and YaHUaH and squeezed them and tried to kill them. But Elohim sent a messenger who threw the serpent away from them and raised them up. Then the word of Elohim came to the serpent and said to it, "The first time I made you slick and made you to go on your belly, but I did not deprive you of speech. This time, however, you will be mute, and you and your race will speak no more, because the first time my creatures were ruined because of you, and this time you tried to kill them." Then the serpent was struck mute, and it was no longer able to speak. And a wind blew down from the Shamayim by the command of Elohim, and carried away the serpent from Adham and YaHUaH, and threw it on the seashore where it landed in India. First Adham and YaHUaH, chapter 19. But Adham and YaHUaH cried before Elohim, and Adham said to him, "O YaHUaH, when I was in the cave I said this to you, YaHUaH, the beasts of the field would rise and devour me and cut off my life from the earth." Then Adham, because of what had happened to him, beat his chest and fell on the ground like a corpse. Then the word of Elohim came to him, who raised him and said to him, "O Adham, not one of these beasts will be able to hurt you, because I have made the beasts and other moving things come to you in the cave. I did not let the serpent come with them, because it might have risen against you and made you tremble, and the fear of it should fall into your hearts. I knew that the accursed one is wicked, therefore I would not let it come near you with the other beasts. But now strengthen your heart and fear not. I am with you to the end of the days I've determined for you." First Adham and YaHUaH, chapter 20. Then Adham cried and said, "O Elohim, take us away to some other place, where the serpent cannot come near us again and rise against us. For I fear that it might find your handmaid YaHUaH alone and kill her, for its eyes are hideous and evil." But Elohim said to Adham and YaHUaH, "Don't be afraid. From now on I will not let it come near you. I have driven it away from you, and from this mountain. I will not leave in it the ability to hurt you." Then Adham and YaHUaH worshipped before Elohim and gave him thanks and praised him for having delivered them from death. First Adham and YaHUaH, chapter 21. Then Adham and YaHUaH went in search of the garden, and the heat beat like a flame on their faces, and they sweated from the heat, and they cried before YaHUaH. But the place where they cried was close to a high mountaintop that faced the western gate of the garden. Then Adham threw himself down from the top of that mountain. His face was torn, and his flesh was ripped, and he lost much of his blood, and was close to death. Meanwhile, YaHUaH remained standing on the mountain, crying over him lying as he was. And she said, I don't wish to live after him, for all that he did to himself was because of me. Then she threw herself after him, and was torn and ripped by stones, and remained lying as dead. But the merciful Elohim, who looks over his creatures, looked at Adham and YaHUaH as they lay dead, and he sent his word to them, and raised them, and said to Adham, O Adham, all this misery which you have brought on yourself will have no effect on my ruling, neither will it alter the covenant of the 5,500 years. First Adham and YaHUaH. Chapter 22. Then Adham said to Elohim, I dry up in the heat, I am faint from walking, and I don't want to be in this world, and I don't know when you will let me rest and take me out of it. Then YaHUaH Elohim said to him, O Adham, it cannot be now, not until you have ended your days. Then I shall bring you out of this miserable land. And Adham said to Elohim, While I was in the garden I knew neither heat nor fatigue, neither transience nor trembling nor fear. But now since I came to this land, all this affliction has come over me. Then Elohim said to Adham, So long as you were keeping my commandment, my light and my grace rested on you. But when you transgressed my commandment, sorrow and misery came to you in this land. And Adham cried and said, O YaHUaH, do not cut me off for this, neither punish me with heavy plagues, nor yet repay me according to my sin, for we of our own will transgressed your commandment and ignored your Torah, and tried to become Elohim like you when Satan the enemy deceived us. Then Elohim said again to Adham, Because you have endured fear and trembling in this land of fatigue and suffering, treading and walking about, going on this mountain and dying from it, I will take all this on myself in order to save you. First Adham and YaHUaH, chapter 23. Then Adham cried more and said, O Elohim, have mercy on me, and do not take on yourself that which I will do. But Elohim withdrew his word from Adham and YaHUaH. Then Adham and YaHUaH stood on their feet, and Adham said to YaHUaH, Strengthen yourself, and I also will strengthen myself. And she strengthened herself as Adham told her. Then Adham and YaHUaH took stones and placed them in the shape of an altar, and they took leaves from the trees outside the garden, with which they wiped from the face of the rock the blood they had spilled. But that which had dropped on the sand they took together with the dust with which it was mixed, and offered it on the altar as an offering to Elohim. Then Adham and YaHUaH stood under the altar and cried, praying to Elohim, Forgive us our offense and our sin, and look at us with your eyes of mercy. For when we were in the garden, our praises and our hymns went up before you without ceasing. But when we came into this strange land, pure praise was no longer ours, nor righteous prayer, nor understanding hearts, nor sweet thoughts, nor wise judgment, nor long discernment, nor upright feelings, neither was our bright nature left within us. But our body is changed from the likeness in which it was at first when we were created. Yet now look at our blood, which is offered on these stones, and accept it at our hands, as if it were the praise we used to sing to you at first when we were in the garden. And Adham began to make more requests of Elohim. First Adham and YaHUaH, chapter 24. Then the merciful Elohim, who is good and a lover of men, looked at Adham and YaHUaH and at their blood, which they had held up as an offering to him without an order from him for so doing. But he wondered at them and accepted their offering. And Elohim sent from his presence a bright fire that consumed their offering. He smelled the sweet savor of their offering and showed them mercy. Then the word of Elohim came to Adham and said to him, O Adham, as you have shed your blood, so will my Ben shed his own blood when he becomes flesh of your descendants. And as you died, O Adham, so also will he die. And as you built an altar, so also will I make for you an altar of the earth. And as you offered your blood on it, so also will I offer my Ben's blood on an altar on the earth. And as you appealed for forgiveness through that blood, so also will I make his blood forgiveness of sins and erase transgressions in it. And now behold, I have accepted your offering, O Adham, but the days of the covenant in which I have bound you are not fulfilled. When they are fulfilled, then will I bring you back into the garden. Now therefore strengthen your heart, and when sorrow comes over you, make me an offering, and I will be favorable to you. First, Adham and YaHUaH, chapter 25. But Elohim knew that Adham believed he would frequently kill himself and make an offering to him of his blood. Therefore he said to him, Adham, don't ever kill yourself like this again by throwing yourself down from that mountain. But Adham said to Elohim, I was thinking to put an end to myself right now, for having transgressed your commandments, and for my having come out of the beautiful garden, and for the bright light which you have taken from me, and for the praises which poured out from my mouth without ceasing, and for the light that covered me. Yet because of your goodness, O Elohim, you did not get rid of me altogether, but you have been favorable to me every time I die, and you bring me to life, and thereby it will be made known that you are a merciful Elohim, who does not want anyone to perish, who would love it if no one should fall, and who does not condemn anyone cruelly badly or by total destruction. Then Adham remained silent, and the word of Elohim came to him, and barak him, and comforted him, and covenanted with him that he would save him at the end of the days determined for him. This then was the first offering Adham made to Elohim, and so it became his custom to do. First Adham and YaHUaH, chapter 26. Then Adham took YaHUaH, and they began to return to the cave of treasures where they lived. But when they got closer to it and saw it from a distance, heavy sorrow fell on Adham and YaHUaH when they looked at it. Then Adham said to YaHUaH, when we were on the mountain, we were comforted by the word of Elohim that talked with us, and the light that came from the east shone over us. But now the word of Elohim is hidden from us, and the light that shined over us has changed so much that it has disappeared, and let darkness and sorrow cover us. And we are forced to enter this cave that is like a prison in which darkness covers us, so that we are separated from each other. You cannot see me. I cannot see you. When Adham had said these words, they cried and spread their hands before Elohim because they were full of sorrow. And they prayed to Elohim to bring the sun for them to shine on them, so that darkness would not return to them, and that they wouldn't have to go under this covering of rock. They wanted to die rather than see the darkness. Then Elohim looked at Adham and YaHUaH and at their great sorrow, and all they had done with a fervent heart because of all the trouble they were in. When compared to their former state of well-being, all the misery that came over them did so in this strange land. Therefore Elohim was neither angry with them nor impatient, but he was patient and long-suffering toward them, as toward the children he had created. Then the word of Elohim came to Adham and said to him, Adham, regarding the sun, if I were to take it and bring it to you, days, hours, years, and months would all stop, and the covenant I have made with you would never be fulfilled. And you would be deserted and stuck in a perpetual plague, and you would never be saved. Yes, rather bear up long, and calm your being while you live night and day, until the fulfillment of the days and the time of my covenant has come. Then I shall come and save you, Adham. I do not wish for you to be afflicted, and when I look at all the good things that you lived in before, and why you came out of them, then I am willing to show you mercy. But I cannot alter the covenant that has gone out of my mouth, otherwise I would have brought you back into the garden. However, When the covenant is fulfilled, then I will show you and your descendants mercy and bring you into a land of gladness where there is neither sorrow nor suffering, but abiding joy and gladness and light that never fails and praises that never cease and a beautiful garden that shall never pass away. And Elohim said again to Adam, "Be patient and enter the cave, because of the darkness of which you were afraid shall only be 12 hours long. When it is over, light will come up." Then when Adam heard these words from Elohim, he and YaHUaH worshipped before him, and their hearts were comforted. They returned into the cave after their custom, while tears flowed from their eyes, sorrow and wailing came from their hearts, and they wished their being would leave their body. And Adam and YaHUaH stood praying until the darkness of night covered them, and Adam was hidden from YaHUaH, and she from him, and they remained standing in prayer. First, Adam and YaHUaH. Chapter 27. Satan, the hater of all that is good, saw how they continued in prayer, and how Elohim communed with them and comforted them, and how he had accepted their offering. Then Satan made a phantasm. He began by transforming his hosts. In his hands was a shining, glimmering fire, and they were in a huge light. Then he placed his throne near the mouth of the cave, because he could not enter it due to their prayers. And he shone light into the cave until the cave glistened over Adam and YaHUaH, while his host began to sing praises. Satan did this so that when Adam saw the light, he would think to himself that it was a light of the Shamayim, and that Satan's hosts were messengers, and that Elohim had sent them to watch at the cave and give him light in the darkness. Satan planned that when Adam came out of the cave and saw them, and Adam and YaHUaH bowed to Satan, then he would overcome Adam and humble him before Elohim a second time. When therefore Adam and YaHUaH saw the light, thinking it was real, they strengthened their hearts. Then as they were trembling, Adam said to YaHUaH, "Look at that great light, and at those many songs of praise, and at that host standing outside who won't come into our cave. Why don't they tell us what they want, or where they are from, or what the meaning of this light is, or what those praises are, or why they have been sent to this place, and why they won't come in? If they were from Elohim, they would come into the cave with us and would tell us why they were sent." Then Adam stood up and prayed to Elohim with a burning heart and said, "O YaHUaH, is there in the world another Elohim besides you, who created messengers and filled them with light and sent them to keep us, who would come with them? But look, we see these hosts that stand at the mouth of the cave. They are in a great light, and they sing loud praises. If they are of some other Elohim than you, tell me, and if they are sent by you, inform me of the reason for which you have sent them." No sooner had Adam said this than a messenger from Elohim appeared to him in the cave, who said to him, "O Adam, fear not, this is Satan and his hosts. He wishes to deceive you as he deceived you at first. For the first time he was hidden in the serpent, but this time he has come to you in the likeness of a messenger of light, in order that, when you worshipped him, he might enslave you in the very presence of Elohim." Then the messenger went from Adam and seized Satan at the opening of the cave, and stripped him of the false image he had assumed, and brought him in his own hideous form to Adam and YaHUaH, who were afraid of him when they saw him. And the messenger said to Adam, "This hideous form has been his ever since Elohim made him fall from the Shamayim. He could not have come near you in it, therefore he transformed himself into a messenger of light." Then the messenger drove Satan and his host away from Adam and YaHUaH and said to them, "Fear not. Elohim who created you will strengthen you." And the messenger left them. But Adam and YaHUaH remained standing in the cave, and no consolation came to them, as they were divided in their thoughts. And when it was morning, they prayed, and then went out to seek the garden, for their hearts were seeking it, and they could get no consolation for having left it. First Adam and YaHUaH. Chapter 28. But when the crafty Satan saw that they were going to the garden, he gathered together his host and came in appearance on a cloud, intent on deceiving them. But when Adham and YaHUaH saw him in a vision, they thought they were messengers of Elohim come to comfort them about having left the garden, or to bring them back again into it. And Adham spread his hands before Elohim, begged him to make him understand what they were. Then Satan, the hater of all that is good, said to Adham, O Adham, I am a messenger of the great Elohim, and behold the hosts that surround me. Elohim has sent us to take you and bring you to the northern border of the garden, to the shore of the clear sea, and bathe you and YaHUaH in it, and raise you to your former joy, that you return to the garden once again. These words sank into the heart of Adham and YaHUaH. Yet Elohim withheld his word from Adham, and did not make him understand at once, but waited to see his strength, and whether he would be overcome as YaHUaH was when in the garden, or whether he would win this battle. Then Satan called to Adham and YaHUaH and said, Behold, we go to the sea of water. And they began to go. And Adham and YaHUaH followed them at little distance. But when they came to the mountain to the north of the garden, which was a very high mountain, without any steps to the top of it, the devil came near to Adham and YaHUaH, and made them go up to the top in reality, and not in a vision, because he wished to throw them down and kill them, and to wipe their names from the earth, so that this earth should belong to him and his hosts alone. 1 Adham and YaHUaH, chapter 29. But when the merciful Elohim saw that Satan wished to kill Adham with his many tricks, and saw that Adham was meek and without guile, Elohim spoke to Satan in a loud voice and cursed him. Then he and his hosts fled, and Adham and YaHUaH remained standing on the top of the mountain. From there they saw below them the wide world, high above which they were. But they saw none of the host which time after time were by them. They cried, both Adham and YaHUaH, before Elohim, and begged for forgiveness of him. Then the word from Elohim came to Adham and said to him, You must know and understand concerning this Satan, that he seeks to deceive you and your descendants after you. And Adham cried before YaHUaH Elohim, and begged and prayed to him to give him something from the garden as a token to him wherein to be comforted. And Elohim considered Adham's thought, and sent the messenger Mikael as far as the sea that reaches India, to take from there golden rods and bring them to Adham. This Elohim did in his wisdom, in order that these golden rods, being with Adham in the cave, should shine forth with light in the night around him, and put an end to his fear of the darkness. Then the messenger Mikael went down by Elohim's order, took golden rods as Elohim had commanded him, and brought them to Elohim. 1 Adham and YaHUaH, chapter 30. After these things, Elohim commanded the messenger Gabriel to go down to the garden and say to the keruv who kept it, Behold, Elohim has commanded me to come into the garden, and to take from it sweet-smelling incense, and give it to Adham. Then the messenger Gabriel went down by Elohim's order to the garden, and told the keruv, as Elohim had commanded him. The keruv then said, This is acceptable. And Gabriel went in and took the incense. Then Elohim commanded his messenger Raphael to go down to the garden, and speak to the keruv about some myrrh to give to Adam. And the messenger Raphael went down and told the keruv, as Elohim had commanded him. And the keruv said, This is acceptable. Then Raphael went in and took the myrrh. The golden rods were from the Indian Sea, where there are precious stones. The incense was from the eastern border of the garden, and the myrrh from the western border, from where bitterness came over Adham. And the messengers brought these things to Elohim by the tree of Kai in the garden. Then Elohim said to the messengers, Dip them in the spring of water, then take them and sprinkle their water over Adham and YaHUaH, that they should be a little comforted in their sorrow, and give them to Adham and YaHUaH. And the messengers did as Elohim had commanded them, and they gave all those things to Adham and YaHUaH on the top of the mountain on which Satan had placed them when he sought to make an end of them. And when Adham saw the golden rods, the incense and the myrrh, he rejoiced and cried, because he thought that the gold was a token of the rain from where he had come, and the incense was a token of the bright light which had been taken from him, and that the myrrh was a token of the sorrow which he was in. First Adham and YaHUaH. Chapter 31. After these things happened, Elohim said to Adham, "You asked me for something from the garden to be comforted with, and I have given you these 3 tokens as a consolation to you, so that you trust in me and in my covenant with you. For my ban will come and save you, and when he is in the flesh, sovereigns shall bring him gold, incense, and myrrh. Gold is a token of my reign, incense is a token of my divinity, and myrrh is a token of my bane's suffering and of my bane's death. But Adam, put these by you in the cave, the gold so that it may shine light over you by night, the incense so that you smell its sweet savor, and the myrrh to comfort you in your sorrow." When Adham heard these words from Elohim, he worshipped before him. He and YaHUaH worshipped him and gave him thanks because he had dealt mercifully with them. Then Elohim commanded the 3 messengers, Mikael, Gavriel, and Raphael, each to bring what he had brought and give it to Adham. And they did so, one by one. And Elohim commanded Suriel and Salathiel to bear up Adham and YaHUaH, and bring them down from the top of the high mountain, and to take them to the cave of treasures. There they laid the gold on the south side of the cave, the incense on the eastern side, and the myrrh on the western side. For the mouth of the cave was on the north side. The messengers then comforted Adham and YaHUaH and departed. The gold was 70 rods, the incense was 12 pounds, and the myrrh was 3 pounds. These remained by Adham in the cave of treasures, in the house of treasures. Therefore was it called Cave of Concealment, and it was called the Cave of Treasures by reason of the bodies of righteous men that were in it. Elohim gave these 3 things to Adham on the 3rd day after he had come out of the garden, as a sign of the 3 days YaHUaH should remain in the heart of the earth. And these 3 things, as they continued with Adham in the cave, gave him light by night, and by day they gave him a little relief from his sorrow. First Adham and YaHUaH. Chapter 32. And Adham and YaHUaH remained in the cave of treasures until the 7th day. They neither ate of the fruit of the earth, nor drank water. And on the 8th day, when it dawned, Adham said to YaHUaH, "YaHUaH, we prayed Elohim to give us something from the garden, and he sent his messengers who brought us what we had desired. But now get up and let us go to the sea of water we saw at first, and let us stand in it and pray that Elohim will again be favorable to us and take us back to the garden. Or give us something, or that he will give us comfort in some other land than this one we are in." Then Adham and YaHUaH came out of the cave and went and stood on the border of the sea in which they had thrown themselves before. Then Adham said to YaHUaH, "Come, go down into this place, and do not come out until the end of 30 days, when I shall come to you, and pray to Elohim with burning heart and a sweet voice to forgive us. And I will go to another place, and go down into it, and do like you." Then YaHUaH went down into the water as Adham had commanded her. Adham also went down into the water, and they stood praying, and besought YaHUaH to forgive them their offense, and to restore them to their former state. And they stood like that, praying until the end of the 35 days. First Adham and YaHUaH. Chapter 33. But Satan, the hater of all that is good, sought them in the cave, but did not find them, although he searched diligently for them. But he found them standing in the water praying, and thought within himself, Adham and YaHUaH are standing like that in that water, praying to Elohim to forgive them their transgression and to restore them to their former state, and to take them from under my hand. But I will deceive them, so that they shall come out of the water and not fulfill their vow. Then the hater of all that is good did not go to Adham, but he went to YaHUaH and took the form of a messenger of Elohim, praising and rejoicing. And he said to her, "Peace be to you, be glad and rejoice. Elohim is favorable to you, and he sent me to Adham. I have brought him the glad tidings of deliverance, and of his being filled with bright light as he was at first. And Adham, in his joy for his restoration, has sent me to you, so that you would come with me in order that I might crown you with light like him. And he said to me, Speak to YaHUaH. If she does not come with you, tell her of the sign when we were on the top of the mountain, how Elohim sent his messengers who took us and brought us to the cave of treasures, and laid the gold on the southern side, incense on the eastern side, and myrrh on the western side. Now come to him." When YaHUaH heard these words from him, she rejoiced much, and thinking Satan's appearance was real, she came out of the sea. He went first, and she followed him until they came to Adham. Then Satan hid himself from her, and she saw him no more. She then came and stood before Adham, who was standing by the water, and she rejoiced in Elohim's forgiveness. And as she called to him, he turned around and found her there, and cried when he saw her, and beat his chest from the bitterness of his grief. He sank into the water, but Elohim looked at him and at his misery, and that he was about to breathe his last breath. And the word of Elohim came from the Shamayim, raised him out of the water, and said to him, "Go up the high bank to YaHUaH." And when he came up to YaHUaH, he said to her, "Who told you to come here?" Then she told him the discourse of the messenger, who had appeared to her and had given her a sign. But Adham grieved, and explained to her that it was Satan. He then took her, and they both returned to the cave. These things happened to them the second time they went down to the water, 7 days after their coming out of the garden. They fasted in the water 35 days. It was altogether 42 days since they had left the garden. First Adham and YaHUaH, chapter 34. On the morning of the 43rd day, they came out of the cave, sorrowful and crying. Their bodies were lean, and they were parched from hunger and thirst, from fasting and praying, and from their heavy sorrow because of their transgression. And when they had come out of the cave, they went up the mountain to the west of the garden. There they stood and prayed and asked Elohim to grant them forgiveness of their sins. And after their prayers, Adham began to beg Elohim, saying, "O YaHUaH, my Elohim and my Creator, you commanded the 4 elements to be gathered together, and they were gathered together by your order. Then you spread your hand and created me out of 1 element, that of dust of the earth. You brought me into the garden at the 3rd hour on a 6th day, and informed me of it in the cave. Then at first I knew neither night nor day, because I had a bright nature, so that the light in which I lived ever left me to know night or day. Then again, O YaHUaH, in that 3rd hour in which you created me, you brought to me all beasts and lions and ostriches and fowls of the air and all things that move in the earth, which you had created at the 1st hour before me of the 6th day. And your will was that I should name them all, one by one, with a suitable name. But you gave me understanding and knowledge and a pure heart and a right mind from you, that I should name them after your own mind regarding the naming of them. O Elohim, you made them obedient to me, and ordered that not one of them break from my control according to your commandment, and to the dominion which you had given me over them. But now they are all estranged from me. Then it was in that 3rd hour of 6th day, in which you created me, and commanded me concerning the tree, to which I was neither to go near, nor to eat from, because you said to me in the garden, "When you eat of it, from death you shall die." But if you had punished me, as you said, with death, I should have died that very moment. When you commanded me regarding the tree that I was neither to approach nor to eat of it, YaHUaH was not with me. You had not yet created her, neither had you yet taken her out of my side, so had she yet heard this order from you. Then at the end of the 3rd hour of that 6th day, O YaHUaH, you caused a sleep to come over me, and I slept and was overwhelmed in sleep. Then you took a rib out of my side, and you created her after my own likeness and image. Then I awoke, and when I saw her and knew who she was, I said, "This is bone of my bones, and flesh of my flesh. From now on, she shall be called woman." It was of your goodwill, O Elohim, that you brought a sleep over me, and that you quickly drew YaHUaH out of my side until she was fully out, so that I did not see how she was made, neither could I witness. O YaHUaH, your goodness and splendor are awful and great, and of your goodwill, O YaHUaH, you made us both with bodies of a bright nature, and you made the two of us one. You gave us your grace, and filled us with praises of the Ruach HaKodesh, that we should be neither hungry nor thirsty, nor know what sorrow is, nor know faintness of heart, neither suffering, fasting, nor weariness. But now, O Elohim, since we transgressed your commandment and broke your Torah, you have brought us out into a strange land and have caused suffering, faintness, hunger, and thirst to come over us. Now therefore, O Elohim, we pray you, give us something to eat from the garden to satisfy our hunger with it, and something wherewith to quench our thirst. For behold, many days, O Elohim, we have tasted nothing and drunk nothing, and our flesh has dried up and our strength is wasted. Sleep is gone from our eyes from faintness and crying. Then, O Elohim, we dare not gather anything from the fruit of trees from fear of you. For when we transgressed the first time, you spared us and did not make us die. But now we thought in our hearts that if we eat the fruit of the trees without Elohim's order, he will destroy us this time and will remove us from the earth. And if we drink of this water without Elohim's order, he will make an end of us and root us up at once. Now therefore, O Elohim, I have come to this place with YaHUaH, and we beg you to give us some fruit from the garden so that we may be satisfied with it. For we desire the fruit that is on the earth, and all else that we lack in it. First, Adham and YaHUaH. Chapter 35. Then Elohim looked again at Adham and his crying and groaning, and the word of Elohim came to him and said to him, Adham, when you were in my garden, you knew neither eating nor drinking, faintness nor suffering, leanness of flesh nor change, neither did sleep depart from your eyes. But since you transgressed and came into this strange land, all these trials have come over you. First, Adham and YaHUaH. Chapter 36. Then Elohim commanded the keruv, who guarded the gate of the garden with a sword of fire in his hand, to take some of the fruit of the fig tree and to give it to Adham. The keruv obeyed the command of YaHUaH Elohim and went into the garden and brought 2 figs on 2 twigs, each fig hanging to its leaf. They were from 2 of the trees among which Adham and YaHUaH hid themselves when Elohim went to walk in the garden, and the word of Elohim came to Adham and YaHUaH, and said to them, Adham, Adham, where are you? And Adham answered, O Elohim, here I am. When I heard the sound of you and your voice, I hid myself because I am naked. Then the keruv took 2 figs and brought them to Adham and YaHUaH, but he threw the figs to them from a distance because they would not come near the keruv for their flesh that could not come near the fire. At first messengers trembled at the presence of Adham and were afraid of him, but now Adham trembled before the messengers and was afraid of them. Then Adham came closer and took 1 fig, and YaHUaH also came in turn and took the other. And as they took them up in their hands, they looked at them and knew they were from the trees among which they had hidden themselves. First Adham and YaHUaH. Chapter 37. Then Adham said to YaHUaH, Do you not see these figs and their leaves with which we covered ourselves when we were stripped of our bright nature? But now we do not know what misery and suffering may come to us from eating them. Now, therefore, YaHUaH, let us restrain ourselves and not eat them. Let us ask Elohim to give us of the fruit of the tree of Kai." So Adham and Kawa restrained themselves and did not eat these figs. But Adham began to pray to Elohim, and to beg him to give him of the fruit of the tree of Kai, saying, "O Elohim, when we transgressed your commandment at the 6th hour of 6th day, we were stripped of the bright nature we had, and did not continue in the garden after our transgression more than 3 hours. But in the evening you made us come out of it. O Elohim, we transgressed against you 1 hour, and all these trials and sorrows have come over us until this day. And those days together with this, the 43rd days, do not redeem that 1 hour in which we transgressed. O Elohim, look at us with an eye of pity, and do not avenge us according to our transgression of your commandment in your presence. O Elohim, give us of the fruit of the tree of Kai, that we may eat it and live, and turn not to see sufferings and other trouble in this earth, for you are Elohim. When we transgressed your commandment, you made us come out of the garden, and sent a keruv to keep the tree of Kai, so that we should not eat thereof, and live and know nothing of faintness after we transgressed. But now, O YaHUaH, behold, we have endured all these days, and have borne sufferings. Make these 43 days an equivalent for the 1 hour in which we transgressed." First, Adham and Kawa. Chapter 38. After these things, the word of Elohim came to Adham, and said to him, "Adham, as to the fruit on the tree of Kai that you have asked for, I will not give it to you now, but only when the 5,500 years are fulfilled. At that time I will give you fruit from the tree of Kai, and you will eat and live forever, both you and Kawa, and also your righteous descendants. But these 43 days cannot make amends for the hour in which you transgressed my commandment. Adham, I gave you the fruit of the fig tree in which you hid yourself for you to eat. So you and Kawa go and eat it. I will not deny your request, neither will I disappoint your hope. Therefore endure until the fulfillment of the covenant I made with you." And Elohim withdrew his word from Adham. First Adham and Kawa. Chapter 39. Then Adham returned to Kawa and said to her, "Get up and take a fig for yourself, and I will take the other, and let us go to our cave." Then Adham and Kawa each took a fig and went toward the cave. The time was about the setting of the sun, and their thoughts made them long to eat of the fruit. But Adham said to Kawa, "I'm afraid to eat of this fig. I do not know what may come over me from it." So Adham cried and stood praying before Elohim, saying, "Satisfy my hunger without my having to eat this fig, because after I have eaten it, what will it profit me? And what shall I desire and ask of you, O Elohim, when it is gone?" And he said again, "I am afraid to eat of it, for I do not know what will befall me through it." First Adham and Kawa. Chapter 40. Then the word of Elohim came to Adham and said to him, "Adham, why didn't you have this trepidation, or this will to fast, or this care before now? And why didn't you have this fear before you transgressed? But when you came to live in this strange land, your animal body could not survive on earth without earthly food to strengthen it and to restore its powers." And Elohim withdrew his word from Adham. First Adham and Kawa. Chapter 41. Then Adham took the fig and laid it on the golden rods. Kawa also took her fig and put it on the incense. And the weight of each fig was that of a watermelon, for the fruit of the garden was much larger than the fruit of this land. But Adham and Kawa remained standing and fasting the entirety of that night until the morning dawned. When the sun rose, they were still praying. But after they had finished praying, Adham said to Kawa, "Kawa, come, let us go to the border of the garden, looking south to the place from where the river flows and is parted into 4 heads. There we will pray to Elohim and ask him to give us some of the water of Kai to drink. For Elohim has not fed us with the tree of Kai in order that we may not live." Therefore, we will ask him to give us some of the water of Kai to quench our thirst with it, rather than with a drink of water of this land." When YaHUaH heard these words from Adham, she agreed, and they both got up and came to the southern border of the garden, at the edge of the river of water a short distance from the garden. And they stood and prayed before YaHUaH, and asked him to look at them, and for this one time to forgive them, and to grant them their request. After this prayer from both of them, Adham began to pray with his voice before Elohim, and said, "O YaHUaH, when I was in the garden and saw the water that flowed from under the tree of Kai, my heart did not desire, neither did my body require to drink of it. I did not know thirst because I was living and above that which I am now, so that in order to live I did not require any food of Kai, nor did I need to drink of the water of Kai. But now, O Elohim, I am dead and my flesh is parched with thirst. Give me of the water of Kai that I may drink of it and live. O Elohim, through your mercy save me from these plagues and trials, and bring me into another land different from this. Let me live in your garden." First Adham and YaHUaH, chapter 42. Then the word of Elohim came to Adham, and said to him, "Adham, you said, bring me into a land where there is rest. Another land than this will not bring you rest. It is the reign of the Shamahim alone where there is rest. But you cannot enter into it at present, but only after your judgment is past and fulfilled. Then will I make you go up into the reign of the Shamahim, you and your righteous descendants, and I will give you and them the rest you ask for now. And if you said, 'Give me of the water of Kai that I may drink and live,' it cannot be this day, but on the day that my bane shall descend into Gehinnom, and break the gates of brass, and crush into pieces the reins of iron. Then I will, through mercy, save your being and the beings of the righteous, and give them rest in my garden. That shall be when the end of the world is come. And the water of Kai you seek will not be granted you this day, but on the day that my bane shall shed his blood on your head in the land of Golgotha. For blood of my bane shall be the water of Kai unto you at that time, and not to you alone, but unto all those of your seed who shall believe in me, that it be unto them for rest forever." Then YaHUaH said again to Adham, "Adham, when you were in the garden, these trials did not come to you. But since you transgressed my commandment, all these sufferings have covered you. Now also your flesh requires food and drink, so drink then of that water that flows by you on the face of the earth." Then Elohim withdrew his word from Adham, and Adham and YaHUaH worshipped YaHUaH, and returned from the river of water to the cave. It was noon when they drew near to the cave. They saw a large fire by it. First Adham and YaHUaH, chapter 43. Then Adham and YaHUaH were afraid and stood still. And Adham said to YaHUaH, "What is that fire by our cave? We have done nothing in it to cause this fire. We neither have bread to bake nor broth to cook there. We have never known anything like this fire, and we do not know what to call it. But ever since Elohim sent the keruv with a sword of fire that flashed in his hand, and had lightning coming from it, we fell down and were like corpses from fear, and we have not seen the like. But now, YaHUaH, look, this is the same fire that was in the keruv's hand, which Elohim has sent to keep the cave in which we live. O YaHUaH, it is because Elohim is angry with us and will drive us from it. YaHUaH, we have transgressed his commandment again in that cave, so that he had sent this fire to burn around it and prevent us from going into it. If this is really the case, YaHUaH, where shall we live, and where shall we flee to be away from the face of YaHUaH? Since, like it is with the garden, he will not let us live in it, and he has deprived us of the good things of it. But he has placed us in this cave, in which we have endured darkness, tests, and hardships, until at last we have found comfort in it. But now that he has brought us out into another land, who knows what may happen in it, and who knows but that the darkness of that land may be far greater than the darkness of this land? Who knows what may happen in that land by day or by night, and who knows whether it will be far or near, YaHUaH? Do you think it will please Elohim to put us far from the garden, YaHUaH? Where will Elohim put us to prevent us from beholding him, because we have transgressed his commandment and because we have made requests of him all the time? YaHUaH, if Elohim will bring us into a strange land other than this, in which we find consolation, it must be to put our beings to death and blot out our name from the face of the earth. O YaHUaH, if we are further alienated from the garden and from Elohim, where shall we find him again, and ask him to give us gold, incense, myrrh, and some fruit of the fig tree? Where shall we find him to comfort us a second time? Where shall we find him so that he may think of us regarding the covenant he has made on our behalf? Then Adham said nothing else more, and they kept looking, he and YaHUaH, towards the cave and at the fire that flared up around it. But that fire was from Satan, for he had gathered trees and dry grasses and had carried and brought them to the cave and had set fire to them in order to consume the cave and what was in it, so that Adham and YaHUaH should be left in sorrow, and he should cut off their trust in Elohim and make them deny him. But by the mercy of Elohim he could not burn the cave, because Elohim sent his messenger to the cave to guard it from this fire until it went out, and this fire lasted from noon until the break of the next day. That was the 45th day. First, Adham and YaHUaH, chapter 44. Adham and YaHUaH stood looking at the fire and were unable to come near the cave from their fear of the fire. And Satan kept on bringing trees and throwing them into the fire until the flames of the fire rose up very high and covered the entire cave, thinking in his mind to consume the cave with the great fire. But the messenger of YaHUaH was guarding it. But he could not curse Satan, nor wound him by word, because he had no authority over him, neither did he attempt to do so with words from his mouth. Therefore the messenger tolerated him without uttering a bad word against him, until the word of Elohim came to Satan, saying, "Go away from here at once before you deceive my servants, for this time you seek to destroy them. Were it not for my mercy, I would have destroyed you and your host from off the earth. But I have had patience with you until the end of the world." Then Satan fled from before YaHUaH, but the fire went on burning around the cave like a coal fire the entire day. This was the 46th day that Adham and YaHUaH had spent since they came out of the garden. And when Adham and YaHUaH saw that the heat of the fire had begun to cool down, they started to walk toward the cave to get into it as they usually did. But they could not because of the heat of the fire. Then they both began crying because the fire separated them from the cave, and the fire came toward them, burning, and they were afraid. Then Adham said to YaHUaH, "See this fire of which we have a portion within us. It formerly obeyed us, but it no longer does so now, for we have violated the boundaries of creation and changed our condition, and our nature has been altered. But the fire is not changed in its nature, nor altered from its creation. Therefore it now has power over us, and when we come near it, it scorches our flesh." First Adham and YaHUaH, chapter 45. Then Adham rose and prayed to Elohim, saying, "This fire has separated us from the cave in which you have commanded us to live, and now we cannot go into it." Then Elohim heard Adham and sent him his word that said, "Adham, see this fire. It is different from the flame and heat from the garden of delights and the good things in it. When you were under my control, all creatures yielded to you, but after you transgressed my commandment, they all rose up over you." Elohim said again to him, "Adam, see how Satan has exalted you. He has deprived you of the Almighty and of an exalted state like me, and has not kept his word to you, but has ended up to become your enemy. He is the one who made this fire in which he meant to burn you and YaHUaH. Adham, why has he not kept his agreement with you even one day, but has deprived you of the splendor that was on you when you obeyed his command? Adham, do you think that he loved you when he made this agreement with you? Do you think that he loved you and wished to raise you on high? No, Adham, he did not do anything out of love for you. He wished to force you to come out of light and into darkness, and from an exalted state to degradation, and from splendor to this humble state, from joy to sorrow, and from rest to hunger and fainting. Elohim also said to Adham, "See this fire kindled by Satan around your cave. See this curious thing that surrounds you? Know that it will surround both you and your descendants when you obey his command, and he will plague you with fire, and you will go down into Gehinnom after you are dead. Then you will experience the burning of his fire that will surround you and your descendants. You will not be delivered from it until my Bayan's coming. Just as you cannot go into your cave right now because of the great fire around it, a way for you will not be made for you until my word comes on the day my covenant is fulfilled. There is no way for you at present to come from this life to rest until he who is my word comes. Then he will make a way for you, and you shall have rest." Then Elohim called to the fire that burned around the cave with his word, that it split itself in half until Adham passed through it. Then the fire parted itself by Elohim's order, and a way was made for Adham, and Elohim withdrew his word from Adham. First Adham and YaHUaH. Chapter 46. Then Adham and YaHUaH began again to come into the cave. And when they came to the passage in the midst of the fire, Satan blew into the fire like a whirlwind, and caused the burning coal fire to cover Adham and YaHUaH, so that their bodies were singed, and the coal fire burned their skin. Adham and YaHUaH screamed from the burning of the fire and said, "O YaHUaH, save us. Do not leave us to be consumed and plagued by this burning fire. Do not require us as the payment for having transgressed your commandment." Then Elohim looked at their bodies on which Satan had caused fire to burn. Elohim sent his messenger that held back the burning fire, but the wounds remained on their bodies. Then Elohim said to Adham, "See Satan's love for you. He pretended to give you the Almighty and greatness. And now look, he burns you with fire and seeks to destroy you from off the earth. Then look at me, Adham. I created you, and how many times have I delivered you out of his hand? If not, wouldn't he have destroyed you?" Elohim spoke again, this time to YaHUaH, and said, "He promised you in the garden, saying, 'As soon as you eat from the tree, your eyes will be opened, and you shall become like Elohim, knowing good and evil.' But look, he has burned your bodies with fire and has made you taste the taste of fire in exchange for the taste of the garden. He has made you see the burning of fire and the evil of it and the power it has over you. Your eyes have seen the good he has taken from you, and in truth he has opened your eyes. You have seen the garden in which you were with me, and you have also seen the evil that has come over you from Satan. But as to the Almighty, he cannot give it to you, nor fulfill his promise to you. He was bitter against you and your descendants that will come after you." And Elohim withdrew his word from them. First Adham and YaHUaH. Chapter 47. Then Adham and YaHUaH came into the cave, still trembling because of the fire that had scorched them. So Adham said to YaHUaH, "Look, in this world the fire burns our flesh. How will it be when we are dead and Satan shall punish our beings? Is not our deliverance far off, unless Elohim comes in his mercy and fulfills his promise to us?" Then Adham and YaHUaH stepped into the cave, barakah themselves for coming into it once more, for they thought that they would never enter it when they saw the fire around it. But as the sun was setting, the fire was still burning and coming closer to Adham and YaHUaH in the cave, so that they could not sleep in it. After the sun set, they went out of the cave. This was the 47th day after they came out of the garden. Adham and YaHUaH then came under the top of hill by the garden to sleep, as they were accustomed. And they stood and prayed Elohim to forgive them their sins, and then fell asleep under the top of the mountain. But Satan, the hater of all that is good, thought to himself, Elohim has promised deliverance to Adham by covenant and promised that he would deliver him from all the hardships that have befallen him. But Elohim has not promised me by covenant and will not deliver me out of my hardships. He has promised Adham that he should make him and his descendants live in the reign that I once lived in. I will kill Adham. The earth shall be rid of him. The earth shall be left to me alone. When he is dead, he will not have any descendants left to inherit the reign, and it will remain my own realm. Elohim will then be wanting me, and he will restore it to me and my host. 1 Adham and YaHUaH, chapter 48. After this, Satan called to his hosts, all of which came to him, and said to him, Our master, what will you do? Then he said to them, This Adham, whom Elohim created out of the dust, is the one who has taken our reign from us. Come, let us gather together and kill him, hurl a rock at him and at YaHUaH and crush them under it. When Satan's hosts heard these words, they came to the part of the mountain where Adham and YaHUaH were asleep. Then Satan and his host took a huge rock, broad and smooth, and without blemish. He thought to himself, if there should be a hole in the rock, when it fell on them, the hole in the rock might align over them so they would escape and not die. He then said to his hosts, Take up this stone and drop it flat on them so that it doesn't roll off them to somewhere else. And when you have hurled it at them, get away from there quickly. And they did as he told them. But as the rock fell down from the mountain toward Adham and YaHUaH, Elohim commanded the rock to become a covering over them so that it did them no harm, and so it was by Elohim's order. But when the rock fell, the whole earth quaked because of it, and was shaken from the size of the rock. And as it quaked and shook, Adham and YaHUaH awoke from sleep and found themselves under a covering of rock. But they didn't know what had happened, because when they fell asleep, they were under the sky and not under a covering, and when they saw it, they were afraid. Then Adham said to YaHUaH, How has the mountain bent itself, and the earth quaked and shaken on our account? And why has this rock spread itself over us like a tent? Does Elohim intend to plague us and to shut us up in this prison, or will he close the earth over us? He is angry with us for our having come out of the cave without his permission, and for our having done so of our own accord without asking him when we left the cave and came to this place. Then YaHUaH said, Adham, if indeed the earth shook for our sake, and this rock formed a tent over us because of our transgression, we will be sorry, because our punishment will be long. But get up and pray to Elohim to let us know concerning this, and what this rock is that is spread over us like a tent. Then Adham stood up and prayed before YaHUaH to let him know what had brought about this difficult time. And Adham stood praying like that until the morning. 1 Adham and YaHUaH, chapter 49. Then the word of Elohim came and said, O Adham, who counseled you when you came out of the cave to come to this place? And Adham said to Elohim, YaHUaH, we came to this place because of the heat of the fire that came over us inside the cave. Then YaHUaH Elohim said to Adham, Adham, you dread the heat of fire for one night, but how will it be when you live in Gehi Hinnom? But Adham, do not be afraid, and do not believe that I have placed this covering of rock over you to plague you. It came from Satan, who had promised you the Almighty in majesty. It is he who threw down this rock to kill you under it, and YaHUaH with you, and in this way to prevent you from living on the earth. But as that rock was falling down on you, I was merciful. I commanded it to form a tent over you, and the rock under you to lower itself. And this sign, O Adham, will happen to my Ben at his coming on earth. Satan will raise the people of the Yahudim to put my Ben to death, and they will lay him in a rock and seal a large stone over him, and he shall remain within that rock 3 days and 3 nights. But on the 3rd day he shall rise again, and it shall be deliverance to you, O Adham, and to your descendants, so that you will believe in me. But, Adham, I will not bring you from under this rock until 3 days and 3 nights have passed. And Elohim withdrew his word from Adham, but Adham and YaHUaH lived under the rock 3 days and 3 nights, as Elohim had told them. And Elohim did so to them because they had left their cave and had come to this same place without Elohim's permission. But after 3 days and 3 nights, Elohim created an opening in the covering of rock and allowed them to get out from under it. Their flesh was dried up, and their eyes and hearts were troubled from crying and sorrow. 1 Adham and YaHUaH, chapter 50. Then Adham and YaHUaH went out and came into the cave of treasures and stood praying in it the entire day until the evening. And this took place at the end of the 50 days after they had left the garden. But Adham and YaHUaH rose again and prayed to Elohim in the cave the whole of that night and begged for mercy from him. And when the day dawned, Adham said to YaHUaH, "Come, let us go and do some work for our bodies." So they went out of the cave and came to the northern border of the garden, and they looked for something to cover their bodies with. But they found nothing, and did not know how to do the work. But their bodies were stained, and they could not speak from cold and heat. Then Adham stood and asked Elohim to show him something with which to cover their bodies. Then came the word of Elohim and said to him, "O Adham, take YaHUaH and come to the seashore where you fasted before. There you will find skins of sheep that were left after lions ate the carcasses. Take them and make garments for yourselves and clothe yourselves with them." 1 Adham and YaHUaH, chapter 51. When Adham heard these words from Elohim, he took YaHUaH and went from the northern side of the garden to the south of it, by the river of water where they once fasted. But as they were on their way, and before they arrived, Satan, the wicked one, had heard the word of Elohim communing with Adham respecting his covering. It distressed him, and he hurried to the place where the sheepskins were, with the intention of taking them and throwing them into the sea, or of burning them so that Adham and YaHUaH would not find them. But as he was about to take them, the word of Elohim came from the Shamayim and bound him by the side of those skins until Adham and YaHUaH came near him. But as they got closer to him, they were afraid of him and of his hideous appearance. Then the word of Elohim came to Adham and YaHUaH and said to them, "This is he who was hidden in the serpent, who deceived you and stripped from you your garment of light and splendor. This is he who promised you majesty and divinity. Where is the beauty that was on him? Where is his divinity? Where is his light? Where is the splendor that rested on him? Now his form is hideous. He has become abominable among messengers, and he has come to be called Satan. Adham, he wished to steal from you this earthly garment of sheepskins so that he could destroy it and not let you be covered with it. What is his beauty that you should have followed him? And what have you gained by obeying him? See his evil works, and then look at me, your creator. Look at the good deeds I do for you. I bound him until you came and saw him and his weakness, and that no power is left with him. And Elohim released him from his bonds." 1 Adham and YaHUaH, chapter 52. After this, Adham and YaHUaH said no more, but cried before Elohim because of their creation and their bodies that required an earthly covering. Then Adham said to YaHUaH, "YaHUaH, this is the skin of beasts with which we shall be covered, but when we put it on, we shall be wearing a sign of death on our bodies. Just as the owners of these skins have died and have decomposed, so also shall we die and pass away." Then Adham and YaHUaH took the skins and went back to the cave of treasures. When they were in it, they stood and prayed, as was their habit, and they thought how they could make garments of those skins because they had no skill. Then Elohim sent to them his messenger to show them how to accomplish this. And the messenger said to Adham, "Go out and bring some palm thorns." Then Adham went out and brought some as the messenger had commanded him. Then the messenger began before them to work the skins, after the manner of one who prepares a shirt. And he took the thorns and stuck them into the skins before their eyes. Then the messenger again stood up and prayed to Elohim that the thorns in those skins should be hidden so as to be as if it were sewn with one thread. And so it was by Elohim's order, and they became garments for Adham and YaHUaH, and he clothed them with the skins. From that time, the nakedness of their bodies was covered from the sight of each other's eyes. And this happened at the end of the 51st day. Then when Adham's and YaHUaH's bodies were covered, they stood and prayed and sought mercy of YaHUaH and forgiveness, and gave him thanks because he had mercy on them and had covered their nakedness. And they did not stop praying the entirety of that night. Then, when the morning dawned at sunrise, they said their prayers, as was their custom, and then went out of the cave. And Adham said to YaHUaH, "Since we don't know what there is to the west of this cave, let us go out and see it today." Then they departed and went toward the western border. First, Adham and YaHUaH, chapter 53. They were not very far from the cave when Satan came toward them. He hid himself between them and the cave in the form of two ravenous lions that had been 3 days without food. And they came toward Adham and YaHUaH as if to break them in pieces and devour them. Then Adham and YaHUaH cried out and begged Elohim to deliver them from their paws. Then the word of Elohim came to them and drove away the lions from them. And Elohim said to Adham, "Adham, what do you seek on the western border, and why have you left of your own will the eastern border which was your living place? Now turn back to your cave and remain in it, so that Satan won't deceive you or achieve his goal to overtake you. In this western border, Adham, there will go from you a descendant that shall replenish it, and they will defile themselves with their sins and with their yielding to the commands of Satan and by following his works. Therefore will I bring waters of a flood to cover them and overwhelm them all. But I will deliver what is left of the righteous among them, and I will bring them to a distant land. But the land in which you live now shall remain desolate and without one inhabitant in it." After Elohim had spoken to them, they went back to the cave of treasures. But their flesh was dried up, and they were weak from fasting and praying, and from the sorrow they felt at having sinned against Elohim. First Adham and YaHUaH, chapter 54. Then Adham and YaHUaH stood up in the cave and prayed the entire night until the morning dawned. And when the sun came up, they both went out of the cave. Their minds were wandering from the heaviness of sorrow, and they didn't know where they were going. And they walked in that condition to the southern border of the garden. And they began to go up that border until they came to the eastern border, which was Land's End. And the Keruv who guarded the garden was standing at the western gate to guard it from Adham and YaHUaH in case they should attempt to suddenly come into the garden. When Adham and YaHUaH thought the Keruv was not watching, they came to the eastern border of the garden. But as they were standing by the gate, as if they desired to go in, the Keruv turned around, as if to put them to death, according to the order Elohim had given him. And the Keruv suddenly came with a flashing sword of fire in his hand. When he saw them, he went toward them to kill them, for he was afraid that Elohim would destroy him if they went into the garden without Elohim's order. And the sword of the Keruv seemed to shoot flames a distance away from it. But when he raised it over Adham and YaHUaH, the flame of the sword did not flash out at them. Because of this, the Keruv thought that Elohim was approving to them and was bringing them back into the garden, and the Keruv stood wondering. He could not go up to the Shahmayim to ascertain Elohim's order regarding Adham and YaHUaH's entering the garden, so continued to stand by them, unable to leave them, because he was afraid that if they should enter the garden without permission, Elohim would destroy him. When Adham and YaHUaH saw the Keruv coming toward them with a flaming sword of fire in his hand, they fell on their faces from fear and were as dead. Then the Shamahim and the earth shook, and another cherubim came down from the Shamahim to the Keruv who guarded the garden, and saw him amazed and silent. Then again other messengers came down close to the place where Adham and YaHUaH were, and the cherubim were split between joy and sorrow. They were joyous because they thought that Elohim was approving to Adham, and wished him to return to the garden, and wished to return him to the gladness he once enjoyed. But they were sorrowful over Adham because he was fallen like a dead man, he and YaHUaH. And they said to themselves, Adham has not died in this place, but Elohim has put him to death for coming to this place and wishing to enter the garden without his permission. First, Adham and YaHUaH. Chapter 55. Then the word of Elohim came to Adham and YaHUaH and raised them up from their dead state, saying to them, Why did you come up here? Do you intend to go into the garden from which I brought you out? You cannot return today, but only when the covenant I have made with you is fulfilled. Then Adham, when he heard the word of Elohim and the fluttering of the messengers, which he only heard and did not see, he and YaHUaH cried and said to the messengers, O Ruachoth, who wait on Elohim, look at me and at my inability to see you. When I was in my former bright nature, I could see you. I sang praises as you do, and my heart was far above you. But now that I have transgressed, that bright nature is gone from me, and I have come to this miserable state in which I cannot see you. You do not serve me like you used to do, for my flesh has become like that of the animals. O messengers of Elohim, ask Elohim to restore me to the state I was in formerly, and ask him to rescue me from this misery, and to remove the sentence of death he passed on me for having trespassed against him. Ask him as I ask him to do these things. Then, when the messengers heard these words, they all grieved over him and cursed Satan, who had misled Adham until he came from the garden to misery, and from life to death, and from peace to distress, and from gladness to a strange land. Then the messengers said to Adham, You obeyed Satan and ignored the word of Elohim who created you. You believed that Satan would fulfill all he had promised you. But now, Adham, we will make known to you what came over us through him. Before his fall from the Shahmahim, he gathered together his hosts and deceived them, promising to give them a great rain, a divine nature, and other promises he made them. His hosts believed that his word was true, so they followed him and renounced the splendor of Elohim. He then ordered us, and some obeyed and under his command and accepted his empty promises. But we would not obey, and we did not take his orders. Then, after he had fought with Elohim and had dealt disrespectfully with him, he gathered together his hosts and made war with us. And if it had not been for Elohim's strength that was with us, we could not have prevailed against him to hurl him from the Shamayim. But when he fell from among us, there was great joy in the Shamayim because of his descent from us. If he had remained in the Shamayim, nothing, not even one messenger, would have remained in it. But Elohim in his mercy drove him from among us to this dark earth, because he had become darkness itself and a performer of unrighteousness. And Adham, he has continued to make war against you until he tricked you and made you come out of the garden to this strange land where all these trials have come to you. And death, which Elohim brought to him, he has also brought to you because you obeyed him and sinned against Elohim. Then all the messengers rejoiced and praised Elohim and asked him not to destroy Adham for his having sought to enter the garden at this time, but to bear with him until the fulfillment of the promise, and to help him in this world until he was free from Satan's hand. First, Adham and YaHUaH, chapter 56. Then the word of Elohim came to Adham and said to him, Adham, look at that garden of joy and at this earth of toil, and see the garden is full of messengers, but look at yourself alone on this earth with Satan, whom you obeyed. If you had submitted and been obedient to me and had kept my word, you would be with my messengers in my garden. But when you sinned and obeyed Satan, you became his guests among his messengers that are full of wickedness, and you came to this earth that produces thorns and thistles for you. O Adham, ask the one who deceived you to give you the divine nature he promised you, or to make you a garden as I had made for you, or to fill you with that same bright nature with which I had filled you. Ask him to make you a body like the one I made you, or to give you a day of rest as I gave you, or to create within you a wise being as I created for you, or to take you from here to some other earth than this one which I gave you. But Adham, he will not fulfill even one of the things he told you. Acknowledge my favor toward you, and my mercy on you, my creature. Acknowledge that I have not shown vengeance on you for your transgression against me. But in my pity for you, I have promised you that at the end of the great 5.5 days, I will come and save you. Then Elohim said again to Adham and YaHUaH, Get up, go down from here before the Cherub with a sword of fire in his hand destroys you. But Adham's heart was comforted by Elohim's words to him, and he worshipped before him. And Elohim commanded his messengers to escort Adham and YaHUaH to the cave with joy, instead of the fear that had come over them. Then the messengers took up Adham and YaHUaH and brought them down the mountain by the garden with songs and praises and hymns until they arrived at the cave. There the messengers began to comfort and to strengthen them, and then departed from them towards the Shamayim to their Creator who had sent them. But after the messengers had departed from Adham and YaHUaH, Satan came with shamefacedness and stood at the entrance of the cave in which were Adham and YaHUaH. He then called to Adham and said, O Adham, come, let me speak to you. Then Adham came out of the cave, thinking he was one of Elohim's messengers that had come to give him some good counsel. First, Adham and YaHUaH. Chapter 57. But when Adham came out and saw his hideous figure, he was afraid of him and said to him, Who are you? Then Satan answered and said to him, It is I who hid myself within the serpent and who spoke to YaHUaH and who enticed her until she obeyed my command. I am he who, using my deceitful speech, sent her to deceive you until you both ate of the fruit of the tree and rejected the command of Elohim. But when Adham heard these words from him, he said to him, Can you make me a garden as Elohim made for me? Or can you clothe me in the same bright nature in which Elohim had clothed me? Where is the divine nature you promised to give me? Where is that clever speech of yours that you had with us at first, when we were in the garden? Then Satan said to Adham, Do you think that when I have promised someone something that I would actually deliver it to him or fulfill my word? Of course not. I myself have no hope of obtaining what I promised. Therefore I fell, and I made you fall for the same reason that I myself fell. Whoever accepts my counsel falls. But now, O Adham, because you fell, you are under my rule, and I am sovereign over you, because you have obeyed me and have sinned against your Elohim. There will be no deliverance from my hands until the day promised you by your Elohim. Again he said, Because we do not know the day agreed on with you by your Elohim, nor the hour in which you shall be delivered, we will multiply wars and murders on you and your descendants after you. This is our will and our good pleasure, that we may not leave one of the sons of men to inherit our place in the Shamayim. Our home, Adham, is in burning fire, and we will not stop our evil doing even a single day, nor even a single hour. And I, O Adham, shall set you on fire when you come into the cave to live there. When Adham heard these words, he cried and mourned and said to YaHUaH, Did you hear what he said? He said that he would not fulfill any of what he promised you in the garden. Did he really at that time become sovereign over us? We will ask Elohim who created us to deliver us out of his hands. First Adham and YaHUaH. Chapter 58. Then Adham and YaHUaH spread their hands before Elohim, praying and begging him to drive Satan away from them, so that he could not harm them or force them to deny Elohim. Then, suddenly, Elohim sent to them his messenger who drove Satan away from them. This happened about sunset on the 53rd day after they had come out of the garden. Then Adham and YaHUaH went into the cave and stood up and lowered their faces to the ground to pray to Elohim. But before they prayed, Adham said to YaHUaH, "Look, you have seen what temptations have befallen us in this land. Come, let us get up and ask Elohim to forgive us the sins we have committed, and we will not come out until the end of the day before the 40th day. And if we die in here, he will save us." Then Adham and YaHUaH got up and joined together in entreating Elohim. They continued praying like this in the cave and did not come out of it in the night or day until their prayers went up out of their mouths like a flame of fire. First Adham and YaHUaH, chapter 59. But Satan, the hater of all that is good, did not allow them to finish their prayers. He called to his hosts, and they all came. Then he said to them, "Since Adham and YaHUaH, whom we deceived, have agreed together to pray to Elohim night and day, and to beg him to deliver them, and since they will not come out of the cave until the end of the 40th day, and since they will continue their prayers as they have both agreed to do, that he will deliver them out of our hands and restore them to their former state, let us see what we shall do to them." And his host said to him, "Power is yours, our master, to do what you command." Then Satan, great in wickedness, took his hosts and came into the cave on the 30th night of the 40-day period, and he beat Adham and YaHUaH until he thought they were dead, and he left them as dead. Then the word of Elohim came to Adham and YaHUaH and raised them from their suffering. And Elohim said to Adham, "Be strong and do not be afraid of him who has just come to you." But Adham cried and said, "Where were you, my Elohim, that they should punish me with such blows, and that this suffering should come over me and over YaHUaH, your handmaiden?" Then Elohim said to him, "Adham, see, he is master of all you have, he who said he would give you divinity. Where is this love for you, and where is the gift he promised? Did it please him just once, Adham, to come to you, comfort you, strengthen you, rejoice with you, or send his host to protect you? Because you have obeyed him and have obeyed his counsel and have followed his commandment and transgressed mine?" Then Adham cried before YaHUaH and said, "YaHUaH, because I transgressed a little, you have severely punished me in return. I ask you to deliver me out of his hands, or at least have pity on me, and take my being out of my body now in this strange land." Then Elohim said to Adham, "If only there had been this moaning and praying before you transgressed, you would have rest from the trouble in which you are now." But Elohim had patience with Adham, and let him and YaHUaH remain in the cave until they had fulfilled the 40 days. But the strength and flesh withered on Adham and YaHUaH from fasting and praying, from hunger and thirst, because they had not tasted either food or drink since they left the garden, and their bodies functioned erratically because they had no strength left to continue in prayer from hunger until the end of the next day to the 40th. They were fallen down in the cave, yet what speech escaped from their mouths was only in praises. First Adham and YaHUaH. Chapter 60. Then, on the 89th day, Satan came to the cave, clad in a garment of light and belted with a bright girdle. In his hands was a staff of light, and he looked most frightening, but his face was pleasant and his speech was sweet. He had transformed himself like this in order to deceive Adham and YaHUaH, and to make them come out of the cave before they had fulfilled the 40 days. He said to himself, when they had fulfilled the 40 days fasting and praying, Elohim would restore them to their former state. But if he did not do this, he would still be favorable to them, and even if he had no mercy on them, would he still give them something from the garden to comfort them as he had already twice before. Then Satan came near the cave in beautiful appearance and said, Adham, you and YaHUaH, arise and stand up and come along with me to a good land, and don't be afraid. I am flesh and bones like you, and at first I was a creature that Elohim created. It was like this when he had created me. He placed me in a garden in the north on the border of the world, and he said to me, stay here. And I remained there according to his word, and I did not violate his commandment. Then he made a sleep to come over me, and then he brought you, Adham, out of my side, but he did not make you stay with me. But Elohim took you in his Kodesh hand and placed you in a garden to the east. Then I worried about you, because even though Elohim had taken you out of my side, he had not allowed you to stay with me. But Elohim said to me, do not worry about Adham, whom I brought out of your side. No harm will come to him, for now I have brought out of his side a helpmeet for him, and I have given him joy by so doing. Then Satan spoke again, saying, I did not know how it is you came to be in this cave, nor anything about this trial that has come over you, until Elohim said to me, behold, Adham has transgressed, he whom I had taken out of your side, and YaHUaH also, whom I took out of his side, have sinned, and I have driven them out of the garden. I have made them live in a land of sorrow and misery, because they transgressed against me, and have obeyed Satan, and look, they are suffering to this day, the 80th. Then Elohim said to me, get up, go to them, and make them come to your place, and do not permit Satan to come near them and afflict them, for they are now in great misery, and lie helpless from hunger. He further said to me, when you have taken them to yourself, give them to eat of the fruit of the tree of Kai, and give them to drink of the water of peace, and clothe them in a garment of light, and restore them to their former state of grace, and leave them not in misery, for they came from you. But grieve not over them, nor be sorry of that which has come over them. But when I heard this, I was sorry, and my heart could not bear it for your sake, and I could not wait, my child. But Adham, when I heard the name of Satan, I was afraid, and I said to myself, I will not come out, because he might trap me as he did my children, Adham and YaHUaH. And I said, Elohim, when I go to my children, Satan will meet me on the way, and fight against me as he did against them. Then Elohim said to me, fear not, when you find him, hit him with the staff that is in your hand, and don't be afraid of him, because you are old and established, and he shall not prevail against you. Then I said, O YaHUaH, I am old and cannot go. Send your messengers to bring them. But Elohim said to me, messengers are not like Adham and YaHUaH, and they will not consent to come with them. But I have chosen you because they are your offspring and are like you, and they will listen to what you say. Elohim said further to me, if you don't have enough strength to walk, I will send a cloud to carry you and set you down at the entrance of their cave. Then the cloud will return and leave you there. And if they will come with you, I will send a cloud to carry you and them. Then he commanded a cloud to carry me up, and it brought me to you, and then it went back. And now, my children Adham and YaHUaH, look at my old gray hair, and at my feeble state, and at my coming from that distant place. Come with me to a place of rest. Then he began to cry and to sob before Adham and YaHUaH, and his tears poured on the ground like water. And when Adham and YaHUaH raised their eyes and saw his beard, and heard his sweet talk, their hearts softened towards him, and they obeyed him, because they believed he was true. And it seemed to them that they were really his offspring, when they saw that his face was like their own, and they trusted him. First Adham and YaHUaH. Chapter 61. Then Satan took Adham and YaHUaH by the hand and started to lead them out of the cave. But when they had gone a little way out of it, Elohim knew that Satan had overcome them and had brought them out before the 40 days were ended in order to take them to some distant place and to destroy them. Then the word of YaHUaH Elohim again came and cursed Satan and drove him away from them. And Elohim began to speak to Adam and YaHUaH, saying to them, "What made you come out of the cave to this place?" Then Adam said to Elohim, "Did you create a man before us? Because when we were in the cave, there suddenly came to us a friendly old man who said to us, 'I am a messenger from Elohim to you to bring you back to some place of rest.' And we believed that he was a messenger from you, O Elohim, and we came out with him. We did not know where we should go with him." Then Elohim said to Adam, "This is the father of the evil arts who brought you and YaHUaH out of the Garden of Delights, and when he saw that you and YaHUaH both joined together in fasting and praying, so that you did not come out of the cave before the end of the 40 days, he wished to make your efforts wasted and break your mutual bond in order to take away all hope from you and to drive you to some place where he might destroy you. Because he couldn't do anything to you unless he showed himself in the likeness of you. Therefore he came to you with a face like your own and began to give you signs as if they were all true. But because I am merciful and am favorable to you, I did not allow him to destroy you. Instead, I drove him away from you. Now Adam, take YaHUaH and return to your cave and remain in it until the morning after the 40th day. And when you come out, go toward the eastern gate of the garden." Then Adam and YaHUaH worshipped Elohim and praised and barak him for the deliverance that had come to them from him. And they returned to the cave. This happened in the evening of the 39th day. Then Adam and YaHUaH stood up and with a fervent passion prayed to Elohim to give them strength, for they had become weak because of hunger and thirst and prayer. But they watched the entire night praying until morning. Then Adam said to YaHUaH, "Get up, let us go toward the eastern gate of the garden, as Elohim told us." And they said their prayers as they were accustomed to do every day, and they left the cave to go near to the eastern gate of the garden. Then Adam and YaHUaH stood up and prayed and appealed to Elohim to strengthen them and to send them something to satisfy their hunger. But after they finished their prayers, they were too weak to move. Then the word of Elohim came again and said to them, "Adam, get up, go and bring the 2 figs here." Then Adam and YaHUaH got up and went until they came near to the cave. First, Adam and YaHUaH. Chapter 62. But Satan, the wicked one, was envious because of the consolation Elohim had given them. So he prevented them from getting the figs and went into the cave and took the 2 figs and buried them outside the cave, so that Adam and YaHUaH should not find them. He also had thought to destroy them. But by Elohim's mercy, as soon as those 2 figs were in the ground, Elohim defeated Satan's wishes regarding the figs and made them into 2 fruit trees that grew higher than the cave and shaded the cave, because Satan had buried them on the eastern side of it. Then when the 2 trees were grown and were covered with fruit, Satan grieved and mourned and said, "It would have been better to have left those figs where they were, because now they have become 2 fruit trees that Adam will eat from all the days of his life. But I had in my mind that when I buried them, it would destroy them entirely and hide them forever. But Elohim has overturned my plan and would not let that Kodesh fruit perish, and he has made known my intention and has defeated the plan I had formed against his servants." Then Satan went away ashamed because he hadn't thought his plans all the way through. First Adam and YaHUaH. Chapter 63. As they got closer to the cave, Adam and YaHUaH saw 2 fig trees covered with fruit and giving shade to the cave. Then Adam said to YaHUaH, "It seems to me that we have gone the wrong way. When did these 2 trees grow here? It seems to me that the enemy wishes to lead us the wrong way. Do you suppose that there is another cave in the earth besides this one? But "YaHUaH, let us go into the cave and find the 2 figs, because this is our cave we were in. But if we do not find the 2 figs in it, then it cannot be our cave." Then they went into the cave and looked into the 4 corners of it, but did not find the 2 figs. And Adham cried and said to YaHUaH, "Did we go to the wrong cave, YaHUaH? It seems to me the 2 figs should have been in the cave." And YaHUaH said, "I do not know." Then Adham stood up and prayed and said, "O Elohim, you commanded us to come back to the cave to take the 2 figs and return to you. But now we cannot find them. Elohim, have you taken them and planted these 2 trees, or have we lost our way in the earth? Or has the enemy deceived us? If this is real then, O Elohim, reveal the secret of these 2 trees and figs to us." Then the word of Elohim came to Adham and said to him, "Adham, when I sent you to bring back the figs, Satan went ahead of you to the cave and took the figs and buried them outside east of the cave, thinking to destroy them by not sowing them with good intent. It wasn't because of him that these trees have immediately grown up, but I had mercy on you, and I commanded them to grow. And they grew to be 2 large trees that would give you shade by their branches, and you should find rest. And by this I made you see my power and my marvelous works. And also I showed you Satan's cruelty and his evil works. Ever since you came out of the garden, he has not ceased for a single day from doing you harm in some way, but I have not given him power over you." And Elohim said, "From now on, Adham, rejoice because of the trees that you and YaHUaH can rest under when you feel weary. But do not eat any of their fruit or come near them." Then Adham cried and said, "Elohim, will you kill us again, or will you drive us away from your face and cut off our life from the face of the earth? O Elohim, I beg you, if you know that these trees bring either death or some other evil, as they did the first time, root them up from near our cave and leave us to die of the heat or hunger or thirst. For we know your marvelous works, O Elohim, that they are great, and that by your power you can bring one thing out of another without the thing's consent. For your power can make rocks to become trees and trees to become rocks." First, Adham and YaHUaH. Chapter 64. Then Elohim looked at Adham and at his strength of mind and at his ability to endure hunger, thirst, and heat. And he changed the 2 fig trees into 2 figs as they were at first. Then he said to Adham and YaHUaH, "Each of you may take 1 fig." And they took them as YaHUaH commanded them. And he said to them, "You must now go into the cave and eat the figs and satisfy your hunger, or else you will die." So they went into the cave about sunset, as Elohim commanded them. And Adham and YaHUaH stood up and prayed during the setting sun. Then they sat down to eat the figs, but they did not know how to eat them, because they were not accustomed to eating earthly food. They were afraid that if they ate, their stomach would become heavy and their flesh thickened, and their hearts would begin to crave earthly food. But while they were seated, Elohim sent them his messenger out of pity for them, so they wouldn't perish of hunger and thirst. And the messenger said to Adham and YaHUaH, "Elohim says to you that you do not have the strength that would be required to fast until death. So eat and strengthen your bodies, for you are now animal flesh and cannot subsist without food and drink." Then Adham and YaHUaH took the figs and began to eat of them. But Elohim had put into them a mixture as of savory bread and soup. Then the messenger left Adham and YaHUaH as they ate of the figs until they had satisfied their hunger. Then they put aside what was left over, but by the power of Elohim the figs became whole again, because Elohim barak them. After this, Adham and YaHUaH got up and prayed with a joyful heart and renewed strength, and praised and rejoiced much for the entire night. And this was the end of the 83rd day. First Adham and YaHUaH. Chapter 65. And when it was day, they got up and prayed after their custom, and then went out of the cave. But they became sick from the food they had eaten, because they were not used to it. So they went about in the cave, saying to each other, "What has our eating caused to happen to us, that we should be in such pain? We are in misery. We are going to die." It would have been better for us to have died keeping our bodies pure than to have eaten and defiled them with food." Then Adham said to YaHUaH, "This pain did not come to us in the garden, neither did we eat such bad food there. YaHUaH, do you think that Elohim will plague us through the food that is in us? Or that our insides will come out? Or that Elohim intends to kill us with this pain before he has fulfilled his promise to us?" Then Adham besought YaHUaH and said, "O YaHUaH, let us not perish because of the food we have eaten. O YaHUaH, don't punish us, but deal with us according to your great mercy, and do not forsake us until the day of the promise you have made us." Then Elohim looked at them, and then equipped them to be able to eat food at once as it is to this day, so that they should not perish. Then Adham and YaHUaH came back into the cave sorrowful and crying because of the alteration of their bodies. And they both knew from that hour that they were altered beings, and all hope of returning to the garden was now lost, and they could not enter it again. For now their bodies had strange functions, and all flesh that requires food and drink for its existence cannot be in the garden. Then Adham said to YaHUaH, "See, our hope is now lost, and so is our faith that we will enter the garden. We no longer belong to the inhabitants of the garden, but from now on we are earthy and of the dust and of the inhabitants of the earth. We shall not return to the garden until the day in which Elohim has promised to save us and to bring us again into the garden, as he promised us." Then they prayed to Elohim that he would have mercy on them. After this their minds were quieted, their hearts were broken, and their longing was cooled down, and they were like strangers on earth. That night Adham and YaHUaH spent in the cave, where they slept heavily because of the food they had eaten. First Adham and YaHUaH. Chapter 66. When the morning of the day after they had eaten food came, Adham and YaHUaH prayed in the cave. And Adham said to YaHUaH, "Look, we asked Elohim for food, and he gave it. But now let us also ask him to give us a drink of water." Then they got up and went to the bank of the stream of water that was on the south border of the garden, which they had thrown themselves in before. And they stood on the bank and prayed to Elohim that he would command them to drink the water. Then the word of Elohim came to Adham and said to him, "O Adham, your body has become brutish and requires water to drink. Take some and drink it, you and YaHUaH, then give thanks and praise." Adham and YaHUaH then went down to the stream and drank from it until their bodies felt refreshed. After they drank, they praised Elohim and then returned to their cave as was their custom. This happened at the end of 83 days. Then on the 84th day they took the 2 figs and hung them in the cave together with the leaves of the figs. To them these were a sign and a barakah from Elohim. And they placed them there so that if their descendants came there, they would see the wonderful things Elohim had done for them. Then Adham and YaHUaH stood outside the cave again and asked Elohim to show them some food with which they could nourish their bodies. Then the word of Elohim came and said to him, "Adam, go down west of the cave until you come to a land that has dark soil, and there you will find food." And Adham obeyed the word of Elohim and took YaHUaH and went down to a land that had dark soil and found wheat growing ripe in the ear and figs to eat, and Adham rejoiced over it. Then the word of Elohim came again to Adham and said to him, "Take some of this wheat and make yourselves some bread with it to nourish your body." And Elohim gave Adham's heart wisdom to work the corn until it became bread. Adham accomplished it all until he grew very faint and weak. He then returned to the cave rejoicing at what he had learned and what he had done with the wheat until it was made into bread. First, Adham and YaHUaH. Chapter 67. When Adham and YaHUaH went down to the land of black earth and came near to the wheat Elohim had showed them and saw that it was ripe and ready for reaping, they did not have a sickle to reap it with. So they put themselves to the task and began to pull up the wheat by hand until the task was complete. They then heaped it into a pile. They were weak from heat and from thirst and went under a shady tree where the breeze fanned them to sleep. But Satan saw what Adham and YaHUaH had done, and he called his hosts and said to them, Elohim has shown to Adham and YaHUaH all about this wheat to strengthen their bodies. And look, they have come and made a big pile of it. Now they are weak from the toil and are now asleep. Come, let us set fire to this heap of corn and burn it. Let us take that bottle of water that is by them and empty it out so that they may find nothing to drink and we kill them with hunger and thirst. Then when they wake up from their sleep and seek to return to the cave, we will come to them along the way and lead them in the wrong direction so that they die of hunger and thirst. Then perhaps they will reject Elohim and he may destroy them. So in this way we can be rid of them. Then Satan and his hosts set the wheat on fire and burned it up. But from the heat of the flame, Adham and YaHUaH awoke from their sleep and saw the wheat burning and the bucket of water by them was poured out. Then they cried and began to go back to the cave. But as they were going up from below the mountain, Satan and his hosts met them in the form of messengers, praising Elohim. Then Satan said to Adham, Adham, why are you so pained with hunger and thirst? It seems to me that Satan has burnt up the wheat. And Adham said to him, Yes. Satan said to Adham, Come back with us. We are messengers of Elohim. Elohim sent us to you to show you another field of corn better than that, and beyond it is a fountain of good water and many trees, near where you shall live, and you shall work the cornfield and make it better than that which Satan has consumed. Adham thought that he was true, and that they were messengers who talked with him, and so he went back with them. Then Satan began to lead Adham and YaHUaH in the wrong direction for 8 days, until they both fell down as if dead, from hunger, thirst, and weakness. Then he fled with his hosts and left them. First, Adham and YaHUaH, chapter 68. Then Elohim looked at Adham and YaHUaH, and at what had befallen them from Satan, and how he killed them. So Elohim sent his word and raised Adham and YaHUaH from death. Then when he was raised, Adham said, O Elohim, you have burnt and taken the seeds which you had given us. You have emptied out the bucket of water, and you have sent your messengers, who have caused us to lose our way from the cornfield. Will you kill us? If this is from you, O Elohim, then take away our beings, but stop punishing us. Then Elohim said to Adham, I did not burn down the wheat, and I did not pour the water out of the bucket, and I did not send my messengers to lead you astray. But it is Satan your master who did it. It was he to whom you have subjected yourself while setting my commandment aside. It is he who burnt down the corn and poured out the water, and who has led you astray. All the promises he has made you were just a trick, a deception, and a lie. But now, Adham, you shall acknowledge my good deeds done to you. And Elohim told his messengers to take Adham and YaHUaH and to lift them up to the field of wheat, which they found as before with the bucket full of water. There they saw a tree and found on it solid manna, and they were astonished at Elohim's power. And the messengers commanded them to eat of the manna when they were hungry. And Elohim admonished Satan with a curse not to come again and destroy the field of corn. Then Adham and YaHUaH took of the corn and made an offering of it, and took it and offered it up on the mountain at the place where they had offered up their first offering of blood. And they offered this offering again on the altar they had built at first. And they stood up and prayed and besought YaHUaH, saying, O Elohim, when we were in the garden, our praises went up to you like this offering, and our innocence went up to you like incense. But now, O Elohim, accept this offering from us, and don't turn us away or deprive us of your mercy. Then Elohim said to Adham and YaHUaH, Since you have made this offering and have offered it to me, I shall make it my Ben's flesh when he comes down on earth to save you. I shall cause it to be offered continually on an altar for forgiveness and mercy for those who partake of it appropriately. Then Elohim sent a bright fire over the offering of Adham and YaHUaH and filled it with brightness, grace, and light, and the Ruach HaKodesh came down on that offering. Then Elohim commanded a messenger to take fire tongs like a spoon and take an offering and bring it to Adham and YaHUaH, and the messenger did so as Elohim had commanded him and offered it to them. And the beings of Adham and YaHUaH were brightened, and their hearts were filled with joy and gladness and with the praises of Elohim. And Elohim said to Adham, "This shall be a custom to you to perform when affliction and sorrow should come over you. But your deliverance and your entrance into the garden shall not be until the days are fulfilled as agreed between you and me. If it were not for this, I would bring you back to my garden and to my favor and my mercy and pity for you, for the sake of the offering you have just made to my name." Adham rejoiced at these words, which he heard from Elohim. And Adham and YaHUaH worshipped before the altar, to which they bowed, and then went back to the cave of treasures. And this took place at the end of the 12th day after the 80th day, 92 days, from the time Adham and YaHUaH came out of the garden. And they stood up the entire night praying until morning. Then they went out of the cave. Then Adham said to YaHUaH with joy in his heart, because of the offering they had made to Elohim that had been accepted by him, "Let us do this 3 times every week on all the days of our life." And as they agreed on these words, and Elohim was pleased with their thoughts and with the decision they made. After this, the word of Elohim came to Adham and said, "Adham, you have determined beforehand the days in which suffering shall come over my Ben, when he is made flesh. They are the 4th day and the preparation day, which is 6th day. But regarding the 1st day, I created all things in it, and I raised the Shamahim. Through my Ben's rising again on this day will I create joy and raise those who believe in me on high. Adham, make this offering all the days of your life." Then the word of Elohim withdrew from Adham. But Adham continued to make the offering as he had, every week, 3 times a week until the end of 7 weeks. And on the 1st day, which is the 50th, Adham made an offering as he was accustomed. And he and YaHUaH took it and came to the altar before Elohim as he had taught them. First Adham and YaHUaH. Chapter 69. Then Satan, the hater of all that is good, was envious of Adham by the fact that his offering found favor with Elohim. So Satan hurried and took a sharp stone from among the sharp ironstones, which were shaped in the form of a man. And Satan went and stood by Adham and YaHUaH. Adham was offering on the altar and had begun to pray with his hands spread before Elohim. Then Satan hurried with the sharp ironstone he had and pierced Adham on the right side, and blood and water flowed. Then Adham fell on the altar like a corpse, and Satan fled. Then YaHUaH came and took Adham and placed him below the altar. There she stayed, crying over him, while a stream of blood flowed from Adham's side over his offering. But Elohim looked upon the death of Adham. But Elohim looked at the death of Adham. He then sent his word and raised him up. And he said to him, "Fulfill your offering, because certainly Adham it is worthy, and there is no imperfection in it." Elohim continued speaking to Adham, "This will also happen to my Ben while on the earth, when he shall be pierced, and blood and water shall flow from his side, and run over his body, which is the true offering, and which shall be offered on the altar as a perfect offering." Then Elohim commanded Adham to finish his offering. And when he had ended it, he worshipped before Elohim, and praised him for the signs he had showed him. And Elohim healed Adham in 1 day, which is the end of the 7 weeks, and is the 50th day. Then Adham and YaHUaH returned from the mountain, and went into the cave of treasures, as they were used to do. This completed 140 days for Adham and YaHUaH, since their coming out of the garden. Then they both stood up that night and prayed to Elohim. And when it was morning, they went down to the west side of the cave, to the place where their corn was, and there they rested under the shadow of a tree. as they were accustomed to do. But when they were there, a multitude of beasts came all around them. It was Satan's wickedness and his way to wage war against YaHUsH through marriage. First, YaHUsH and YaHUaH, chapter 70. After this, Satan, the hater of all that is good, took the form of a messenger and 2 others with him. So they looked like the 3 messengers who had brought to YaHUsH gold, incense, and myrrh. They came to YaHUsH and YaHUaH while they were under the tree, and greeted YaHUsH and YaHUaH with friendly words that were full of deceit. But when YaHUsH and YaHUaH saw their friendly countenance and heard their sweet speech, YaHUsH rose, welcomed them, and brought them to YaHUaH, and they remained all together. YaHUsH's heart was happy all the while because he thought that they were the same messengers who had brought him gold, incense, and myrrh. This was because when they came to YaHUsH the first time, peace and joy came over him from them because they brought him good gifts. So YaHUsH thought that they had come a second time to give him other gifts to make him rejoice. He did not know it was Satan, therefore he received them with joy and associated with them. Then Satan, the tallest of them, said, "Rejoice, YaHUsH, and be glad. Look, Elohim has sent us to you to tell you something." And YaHUsH said, "What is it?" Then Satan said, "It is a simple thing, but it is the word of Elohim. Will you accept it from us and do it? If you will not accept it, we will return to Elohim and tell him that you would not receive his word." And Satan continued, saying to YaHUsH, "Don't be afraid and don't shake. Don't you know us?" But YaHUsH said, "I do not know you." Then Satan said to him, "I am the messenger that brought you gold and took it to the cave. This other messenger is the one that brought you incense. And that third messenger is the one who brought you myrrh when you were on top of the mountain. It was he who carried you to the cave. It was our other fellow messengers who lifted you to the cave. Elohim has not sent them with us this time because he said to us, 'You will be enough.'" So when YaHUsH heard these words, he believed them and said to the messengers, "Speak the word of Elohim, and I will receive it." And Satan said to him, "Swear and promise me that you will receive it." Then YaHUsH said, "I do not know how to swear and promise." And Satan said to him, "Hold out your hand and put it inside my hand." Then YaHUsH held out his hand and put it into Satan's hand. Satan said to him, "Now say this, as Elohim who raised the stars in the Shahamayim and established the dry ground on the waters, and has created me out of the 4 elements and out of the dust of the earth, and is logical and true, does speak, I will not break my promise nor abandon my word." And YaHUsH swore. Then Satan said to him, "Look, some time has passed since you came out of the garden, and you do not know wickedness or evil. But now Elohim says to you to take YaHUaH, who came out of your side, and marry her so that she will bear you children to comfort you and to drive from you trouble and sorrow. This thing is not difficult, and there is nothing morally wrong in it for you." First, YaHUsH and YaHUaH, chapter 71. But when YaHUsH heard these words from Satan, he sorrowed much because of his oath and his promise. And he said, "Shall I commit adultery with my flesh and my bones, and shall I sin against myself, so that Elohim will destroy me and blot me out from the face of the earth?" First I ate of the tree, and he drove me out of the garden into this strange land, and deprived me of my bright nature, and brought my death. If I do this, he will cut off my life from the earth, and he will cast me into Gehinnom, and plague me there a long time. But Elohim never spoke the words that you have said, and you are not Elohim's messengers. He did not send you. You are devils that have come to me under the false appearance of messengers. Away from me, you cursed of Elohim. Then the devils fled from YaHUsH, and he and YaHUaH got up and returned to the cave of treasures and went into it. Then YaHUsH said to YaHUaH, "If you saw what I did, don't tell anyone, because I sinned against Elohim in swearing by his great name, and I have placed my hand once again into that of Satan." YaHUaH then held her peace, as YaHUsH told her. Then Adham got up and spread his hands before Elohim, beseeching and entreating him with tears to forgive him of what he had done. And Adham remained standing and praying in that way for 40 days and 40 nights. He did not eat or drink until he dropped down on the ground from hunger and thirst. Then Elohim sent his word to Adham, who raised him up from where he lay and said to him, Adham, why have you sworn by my name? Why have you made agreement with Satan again? But Adham cried and said, O Elohim, forgive me. I did this unwittingly because I believed they were Elohim's messengers. And Elohim forgave Adham and said to him, Beware of Satan. And he withdrew his word from Adham. Then Adham's heart was comforted, and he took YaHUaH, and they went out of the cave to prepare some food for their bodies. But from that day, Adham struggled in his mind about marrying YaHUaH because he was afraid that if he did it, Elohim would be angry with him. Then Adham and YaHUaH went to the river of water and sat on the bank, as people do when they enjoy themselves. But Satan was jealous of them and planned to destroy them. First Adham and YaHUaH. Chapter 72. Then Satan and 10 from his hosts transformed themselves into maidens with more grace than any others in the entire world. They came up out of the river in front of Adham and YaHUaH, and they said among themselves, Come, we will look at the faces of Adham and YaHUaH, who are of the men on earth. They are beautiful, and their faces look different than ours. Then they came to Adham and YaHUaH and greeted them, and they stood amazed at them. Adham and YaHUaH looked at them also, and wondered at their beauty, and said, Is there another world under us with such beautiful creatures as these in it? And the maiden said to Adham and YaHUaH, Yes, indeed, many of us were created. Then Adham said to them, But how do you multiply? And they told him, We have husbands who have married us, and we bear them children, who grow up and in turn marry and are married and also bear children. This we increase. O Adham, you will not believe us. We will show you our husbands and our children. Then they shouted over the river as if to call their husbands and their children. And men and children came up from the river, and every man came to his wife, and his children were with him. But when Adham and YaHUaH saw them, they stood speechless and were amazed at them. Then they said to Adham and YaHUaH, See all our husbands and our children. You should marry YaHUaH as we have married our husbands, so that you will have children as we have. This was the way Satan was to deceive Adham. Satan also thought to himself, Elohim at first commanded Adham concerning the fruit of the tree, saying to him, Do not eat of it, or else you shall die. But Adham ate of it, but Elohim did not kill him. He only gave him by law death, plagues, and trials, until the day he shall leave his body. But if I deceive him to do this thing and marry YaHUaH without Elohim's permission, Elohim will kill him. Therefore Satan worked this apparition before Adham and YaHUaH, because he sought to kill him and to make him disappear from off the face of the earth. Meanwhile the fire of immorality came over Adham, and he thought of committing transgression. But he restrained himself, fearing that if he followed the advice of Satan, Elohim would put him to death. Then Adham and YaHUaH got up and prayed to Elohim, while Satan and his hosts went down into the river in front of Adham and YaHUaH, so they would see them going back to their own world. Then Adham and YaHUaH went back to the cave of treasures, as they usually did around evening time, and they both got up and prayed to Elohim that night. Adham remained standing in prayer, but did not know how to pray because of the thoughts in his heart about marrying YaHUaH, and he continued this way until morning. When light came up, Adham said to YaHUaH, Get up, let us go below the mountain where they brought us gold, and let us ask YaHUaH concerning this matter. Then YaHUaH said, What is that matter, Adham? And he answered her, That I may request YaHUaH to inform me about marrying you, because I will not do it without his permission, or else he will kill you and me. For those devils have set my heart on fire with thoughts of what they showed us in their sinful visions. Then YaHUaH said to Adham, Why do we need to go to the foot of the mountain? Let us rather stand up and pray in our cave to Elohim to let us know whether this advice is good or not." Then Adham rose up in prayer and said, "O Elohim, you know that we transgressed against you, and from the moment we sinned we were stripped of our bright nature, and our body became brutish, requiring food and drink and with animal desires. Command us, O Elohim, not to give way to them without your permission, for fear that you will turn us into nothing. If you do not give us permission, we will be overcome and follow that advice of Satan, and you will again kill us. If not, then take our beings from us and let us be rid of this animal lust. And if you give us no order about this thing, then separate YaHUaH from me and me from her, and place us each far away from the other. Then, O Elohim, if you separate us from each other, the devils will deceive us with their apparitions that resemble us, and destroy our hearts, and defile our thoughts towards each other. If our heart is not toward each other, it will be toward them, through their appearance when the devils come to us in our likeness." Here Adham ended his prayer. First, Adham and YaHUaH, chapter 73. Then Elohim considered the words of Adham that they were true, and that he could not wait long for his order, respecting the counsel of Satan. And Elohim approved Adham in what he had thought concerning this, and in the prayer he had offered in his presence. And the word of Elohim came to Adham and said to him, "O Adham, if only you had had this caution at first before you came out of the garden into this land." After that, Elohim sent his messenger who had brought gold, and the messenger who had brought incense, and the messenger who had brought myrrh to Adham, that they should inform him respecting his marriage to YaHUaH. Then those messengers said to Adham, "Take the gold and give it to YaHUaH as a wedding gift, and promise to marry her. Then give her some incense and myrrh as a present, and you both will be one flesh." Adham obeyed the messengers and took the gold and put it into YaHUaH's bosom in her garment, and promised to marry her with his hand. Then the messengers commanded Adham and YaHUaH to get up and pray 40 days and 40 nights. When that was done, then Adham was to have sexual intercourse with his wife, for then this would be an act pure and undefiled, so that he would have children who would multiply and replenish the face of the earth. Then both Adham and YaHUaH received the words of the messengers, and the messengers departed from them. Then Adham and YaHUaH began to fast and pray until the end of the 40 days, and then they had sexual intercourse as the messengers had told them. And from the time Adham left the garden until he wedded YaHUaH were 223 days, that is 7 months and 13 days. This was how Satan's war with Adham was won by Adham, and Satan was defeated. First, Adham and YaHUaH, chapter 74. And they lived on the earth working so they could keep their bodies in good health. And they continued until the 9 months of YaHUaH's pregnancy were over, and the time drew near when she would give birth. Then she said to Adham, "The tokens placed in this cave since we left the garden show it to be a pure place. We will be praying in it again in a while. Because of this, it is not appropriate that I should give birth in it. Let us instead go to the sheltering rock cave that was formed by the command of Elohim when Satan threw a big rock down on us in an attempt to kill us." Adham then took YaHUaH to that cave. When the time came for her to give birth, she strained very much. Adham felt pity for her, and he was very worried about her because she was close to death, and the words of Elohim to her were being fulfilled. "You shall bear a child in suffering, and in sorrow shall you bring forth a child." But when Adham saw the distress YaHUaH was in, he got up and prayed to Elohim and said, "O YaHUaH, look at me with the eye of your mercy, and deliver her out of her distress." And Elohim looked at his maidservant YaHUaH, and delivered her, and she gave birth to her firstborn son, and with him a daughter. Then Adham rejoiced at YaHUaH's deliverance, and also over the children she had given him. And Adham ministered to YaHUaH in the cave until the end of 8 days, when they named the son Cain and the daughter Luluah. The meaning of Cain is hater, because he hated his sister in their mother's womb before they were born. Because of this, Adham named him Cain, but Luluah means beautiful, because she was more beautiful than her mother. Then Adham and YaHUaH waited until Cain and his sister were 40 days old, when Adham said to YaHUaH, "We will make an offering and offer it up in behalf of the children." And YaHUaH said, "We will first make one offering for the firstborn son, and then later we shall make one for the daughter." First Adham and YaHUaH. Chapter 75. Then Adham prepared an offering. He and YaHUaH brought it to the altar they had built at first and offered it up for their children. And Adham offered up the offering and asked Elohim to accept his offering. Then Elohim accepted Adham's offering and sent a light from the Shamahim that shined down on the offering. Adham and his son drew near to the offering, but YaHUaH and the daughter did not approach it. Adham and his son were joyful as they came down from the altar. Adham and YaHUaH waited until the daughter was 80 days old, and then Adham prepared an offering and took it to YaHUaH and to the children. They went to the altar where Adham offered it up as he was accustomed, asking YaHUaH to accept his offering. And YaHUaH accepted the offering of Adham and YaHUaH. Then Adham, YaHUaH, and the children gathered together and came down from the mountain, rejoicing. But they did not return to the cave in which they were born. Instead, they went to the cave of treasures, so that the children should live in it and be Baruch with the tokens brought from the garden. But after they had been Barak with the tokens, they went back to the cave in which they were born. But before YaHUaH had offered up the offering, Adham had taken her to the river of water in which they threw themselves at first. There they washed themselves. Adham washed his body, and YaHUaH washed hers clean also, after the suffering and distress that had come over them. But after washing themselves in the river of water, Adham and YaHUaH returned every night to the cave of treasures, where they prayed and were Baruch, and then went back to their cave where their children were born. Adham and YaHUaH did this until the children had been weaned. After they were weaned, Adham made an offering for the beings of his children. In addition to the 3 times every week, he made an offering for them. When the children were weaned, YaHUaH conceived again, and when her pregnancy came to term, she gave birth to another son and daughter. They named the son Hevel and the daughter Achliah. Then at the end of 40 days, Adham made an offering for the son, and at the end of 80 days he made another offering for the daughter, and treated them as he had previously treated Cain and his sister Luluah. He brought them to the cave of treasures, where they received a barakah, and then returned to the cave where they were born. After these children were born, YaHUaH stopped having children. First Adham and YaHUaH. Chapter 76. As the children began to grow stronger and taller, Cain grew hard-hearted, and he ruled over his younger brother. Often, when his father made an offering, Cain would remain behind and not go with them to make the offering. But Hevel had a meek heart and was obedient to his father and mother. He frequently influenced them to make an offering because he loved it. He prayed and fasted much. Then this sign came to Hevel. As he was corning into the cave of treasures, he saw the golden rods, the incense, and the myrrh, and he asked his parents, Adham and YaHUaH, to tell him about them. Hevel asked, "Where did you get these from?" Then Adham told him all that had befallen them, and Hevel felt deeply about what his father told him. Then his father Adham told him about the works of Elohim and of the garden. After hearing these things, Hevel remained behind after his father left and stayed the entire of that night in the cave of treasures. And that night, while he was praying, Satan appeared to him in the form of a man. And Satan said to him, "Often you have moved your father into making offerings and to fast and pray. Because of this, I will kill you and make you perish from this world." But Hevel prayed to Elohim and drove away Satan, and he did not believe the words of the devil. Then when it was day, a messenger of Elohim appeared to him, who said to him, "Do not stop your fasting prayer or offering to your Elohim, for look, YaHUaH has accepted your prayer. Be not afraid of the form which appeared to you in the night, and who cursed you to death." Then the messenger departed from him. Then YaHUaH came to Adham and YaHUaH when it was day, and told them about the vision he had seen. When they heard it, they worried about it very much, but said nothing to him about it. They only comforted him. But Satan came to the hard-hearted Cain by night, and showed himself, and said to him, "Since Adham and YaHUaH love your brother YaHUaH so much more than they love you, they wish to join him in marriage to your beautiful sister because they love him. However, they wish to join you in marriage to his ugly sister because they hate you. Now before they do that, I'm telling you that you should kill your brother. That way your sister will be left for you, and you can throw his sister away." And Satan departed from him. But the devil remained behind in Cain's heart, and frequently prompted his ambition to kill his brother. 1 Adham and YaHUaH, chapter 77. But when Adham saw that the older brother hated the younger brother, he attempted to soften their hearts. He said to Cain, "My son, take some of the fruits of your sowing and make an offering to Elohim, so that he might forgive you for your wickedness and your sin." He said also to YaHUaH, "Take some of the fruit of your sowing and make an offering and bring it to Elohim, so that he might forgive you for your wickedness and your sin." Then YaHUaH obeyed his father and took some of his sowing and made a good offering, and said to his father Adham, "Come with me and show me how to offer it up." And they went, Adham and YaHUaH with him, and they showed him how to offer up his gift on the altar. Then after that they stood up and prayed that Elohim would accept YaHUaH's offering. Then Elohim looked at YaHUaH and accepted his offering. And Elohim was more pleased with YaHUaH than he was with his offering, because of his good heart and pure body. There was no trace of guile in him. Then they came down from the altar and went to the cave in which they lived. But because of his joy felt at making his offering, YaHUaH repeated it 3 times a week, following the example of his father Adham. But Cain did not want to make an offering. But after his father became very angry, he offered up a gift once. He took the smallest of his sheep for an offering, and when he offered it up, his eyes were on the lamb. Because of this, Elohim did not accept his offering, because his heart was full of murderous thoughts. And they all lived together like this in the cave in which YaHUaH had given birth, until Cain was 15 years old, and YaHUaH 12 years old. 1 Adham and YaHUaH, chapter 78. Then Adham said to YaHUaH, "The children have grown up. We must think of finding wives for them." Then YaHUaH answered, "How can we do that?" Then Adham said to her, "We will join YaHUaH's sister in marriage to Cain, and Cain's sister to YaHUaH." Then YaHUaH said to Adham, "I do not like Cain because he is hard-hearted. So let them stay with us until we offer up to YaHUaH on their behalf." And Adham said no more. Meanwhile, Satan came to Cain in the form of a man of the field and said to him, "Look, Adham and YaHUaH have discussed together about the marriage of you two, and they have agreed to marry YaHUaH's sister to you and your sister to YaHUaH. But if it were not that I love you, I would not have told you this thing. So if you will take my advice and obey me, I will bring beautiful robes, plenty of gold and silver, and my relations will attend you on your wedding day." Then Cain said with joy, "Where are your relations?" And Satan answered, "My relations are in a garden in the north, where I once meant to bring your father Adham, but he would not accept my offer. But if you will receive my words, and if you will come to me after your wedding, you shall rest from the misery in which you are, and you shall rest and be better off than your father Adham." At these words, Satan got Cain's attention, and Cain inclined towards Satan to listen. After this, he did not remain in the field, but he went to YaHUaH his mother, and beat her and cursed her, and said to her, "Why are you planning to take my sister to marry her to my brother? Am I dead?" but his mother quieted him and sent him back to the field where he had been. Then when Adham came, she told him of what Cain had done. Adham was very worried, but held his peace and did not say a word. Then, the next morning, Adham said to Cain his son, "Take of your young and good sheep, and offer them up to your Elohim, and I will speak to your brother, and have him make an offering of corn to his Elohim." They both obeyed their father Adham, and they took their offerings, and offered them up on the mountain by the altar. But Cain behaved arrogantly toward his brother, and he shoved him from the altar, and would not let him offer up his gift on the altar, but he offered his own offering on it with a proud heart, full of guile and fraud. But Hevel set up stones that were near at hand, and on that he offered up his gift with a heart humble and free from guile. Cain was then standing by the altar on which he had offered up his gift, and he cried to Elohim to accept his offering. But Elohim did not accept it from Cain, nor did a divine fire come down to consume his offering. But he remained standing over against the altar out of meanness, to make fun of his brother. And he glared at his brother Hevel to see if Elohim would accept his offering or not. And Hevel prayed to Elohim to accept his offering. Then a divine fire came down and consumed his offering. And Elohim smelled the sweet savor of his offering, because Hevel loved him and rejoiced in him. And because Elohim was well pleased with him, he sent him a messenger of light in the form of a man to partake of his offering, because he had smelled the sweet savor of his offering. And he comforted Hevel and strengthened his heart. But Cain was looking on all that took place at his brother's offering, and was angry because of it. Then he opened his mouth and blasphemed Elohim because he had not accepted his offering. But Elohim said to Cain, "Why do you look sad? Be in right standing with me so that I may accept your offering. You have not murmured against me, but against yourself." And Elohim said this to Cain in rebuke, and because he hated him and his offering. And Cain came down from the altar, and his color changed, and he had a sad face. And he came to his father and mother, and told them all that had happened to him. And Adham grieved much, because Elohim had not accepted Cain's offering. But Hevel came down rejoicing and with a glad heart, and told his father and mother how Elohim had accepted his offering. And they rejoiced at it and kissed his face. And Hevel said to his father, "Because Cain shoved me from the altar and would not allow me to offer my gift on it, I made an altar for myself and offered my gift on it." But when Adham heard this, he was very sorry, because it was the altar he had built at first, and on which he had offered his own gifts. Cain was so resentful and so angry that he went into the field. There, Satan came to him and said to him, "Your brother Hevel has taken refuge with your father Adham, because you shoved him from the altar. They have kissed his face, and they rejoice over him far more than over you." When Cain heard these words of Satan, he was filled with rage, but he let no one know. But he was lying in wait to kill his brother, until he brought him into the cave, and then said to him, "Brother, the country is so beautiful, and there are such beautiful and pleasurable trees in it, and charming to look at. But brother, you have never been one day in the field to take your pleasure in that place. Today, my brother, I wish very much that you would come into the field with me to enjoy yourself, and to Barak our fields and our flocks, for you are righteous, and I love you much, O my brother, but you have alienated yourself from me." Then Hevel agreed to go with his brother Cain into the field. But before going out, Cain said to Hevel, "Wait for me, and I will fetch a staff because of wild beasts." Then Hevel stood innocently waiting. But Cain, the presumptuous, got a staff and went out, and Cain and his brother Hevel began to walk in the path. Cain was talking to him and comforting him to make him forget everything. First Adham and YaHUaH. Chapter 79. And so they walked on until they came to a place they were alone, where there were no sheep. Then Hevel said to Cain, "Look, my brother, we are tired from walking. We see none of the trees or fruits or the growing green plants or the sheep or any of the things of which you told me. Where are those sheep of yours that you told me to Barak?" Then Cain said to him, "Come on, and you shall see many beautiful things very soon, but go before me until I catch up to you." Then Hevel went on, but Cain stayed behind him. And Hevel was innocently walking, without suspecting any craftiness, not thinking that his brother would kill him. Then Cain came up to him, comforted him with his words while walking a little behind him. Then he ran up to him and beat him with the staff, blow after blow, until he was dazed. But when Hevel fell down on the ground and saw that his brother meant to kill him, he said to Cain, "O my brother, have pity on me. By the breasts we have sucked, do not hit me. By the womb that bore us and that brought us into the world, do not beat me to death with that staff. If you are set on killing me, take one of these large stones and kill me outright." Then Cain, the hard-hearted and cruel murderer, took a large stone and beat his brother's head with it until his brains oozed out and he wallowed in his blood before him. And Cain was not sorry for what he had done, but when the blood of righteous Hevel fell on the earth, it trembled as it drank his blood, and would have destroyed Cain because of it. And the blood of Hevel cried mysteriously to Elohim to avenge him of his murderer. Then Cain began to dig furiously at the ground to bury his brother, because he was shaking from fear that came over him when he saw the earth tremble because of him. He then threw his brother into the hole he made and covered him with dust. But the ground would not receive him, and it threw him up at once. Again Cain dug the ground and covered his brother in it, but again the ground threw him up. 3 times the ground threw up the body of Hevel on itself. The muddy ground threw him up the first time because he was not the first creation. It threw him up the second time and would not receive him because he was righteous and good and was killed without a cause. The ground threw him up the third time and would not receive him, so that there might remain before his brother a witness against him. And so the earth mocked Cain until the word of Elohim came to him concerning his brother. Then Elohim was angry and very much displeased at Hevel's death. And he thundered from the Shahmahim, and lightning went out from him. And the word of YaHUaH Elohim came from the Shahmahim to Cain, and said to him, "Where is Hevel your brother?" Then Cain answered with a proud heart and a gruff voice, "How am I to know, O Elohim? Am I my brother's keeper?" Then Elohim said to Cain, "Cursed be the earth that has drunk the blood of Hevel your brother. And as for you, you will always be trembling and shaking, and this will be a mark on you, so that whoever finds you will kill you." But Cain cried because Elohim had said those words to him. And Cain said to him, "O Elohim, whosoever finds me shall kill me, and I shall be blotted out from the face of the earth." Then Elohim said to Cain, "Whoever finds you will not kill you," because before this Elohim had been saying to Cain, "I shall put 7 punishments on anyone that kills Cain." For the word of Elohim to Cain was, "Where is your brother?" Elohim said it in mercy to him to try and make him repent. And if Cain had repented at that time and had said, "O Elohim, forgive me my sin and the murder of my brother," Elohim would then have forgiven him his sin. But Elohim said to Cain, "Cursed be the ground that has drunk the blood of your brother." That also was Elohim's mercy on Cain, because Elohim did not curse him, but he cursed the ground, although it was not the ground that had killed Hevel and committed a wicked sin. But it was fitting that the curse should fall on the murderer, and yet in mercy did Elohim manage his thoughts so that no one should know the extent of his anger, for he turned it away from Cain. And he said to him, "Where is your brother?" To which he answered and said, "I know not." Then the Creator said to him, "Be trembling and quaking." Then Cain trembled and became terrified, and through this sign Elohim made him an example before all the creation to show him as the murderer of his brother. Also Elohim brought trembling and terror over him, so that he might see the peace he had before, and also see the trembling and terror he endured at the end, so that he might humble himself before Elohim, and repent of his sin, and seek the peace that he enjoyed at first. The word of Elohim said, I will put 7 punishments on anyone who kills Cain. So Elohim was not seeking to kill Cain with the sword, but he sought to make him die of fasting and praying and crying by his discipline until the time that he was delivered from his sin. And the 7 punishments are the 7 generations during which Elohim awaited Cain for the murder of his brother. But ever since he had killed his brother, Cain could find no rest in any place, so he went back to Adam and YaHUaH, trembling, terrified, and defiled with blood.